Manager Fong waited a moment. Then, seeing Liang Zixuan still quiet, took a key from his bag and pressed it into her palm. I've given you the key. You can move in whenever you like. What? Liang Zixuan stared at the key, then at him, flustered. What about the rent? The rent is 2,000 yuan a month. Manager Fong cut in quickly. No deposit. Just pay month by month. Month by month, no deposit? Her mind buzzed. Something fell off, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. She opened her mouth to ask again, but Manager Fong was faster. He pulled out a small slip of paper and handed it over. This is the owner's Alipay and his number. Just transfer the rent to this account every month. Afraid she'd start asking questions, he glanced at his watch and hurried toward the door. I've got an important client to meet. I'll head off first. Liang Zixuan could only watch helplessly as he practically ran out. Important client? At that speed? She lowered her head and looked at the key and the note in her hand, still feeling like this was all some strange dream. A top-tier luxury apartment. Only 2,000 yuan a month and no deposit? It felt like every door in front of her had suddenly swung wide open. Her luck was almost terrifying. She put the key away. On the way back to the hospital, she added the owner's number on WeChat. She didn't expect him to approve her request so quickly, but the notification popped up almost at once. She sent a polite message. Hello, I'm Liang Zixuan. I've rented your unit in Le Reve. Manager Fong said the rent is 2,000 yuan a month. The reply came immediately. Yes. The last of her worry finally faded. She'd been afraid Manager Fong had made a mistake, but since the owner himself confirmed it, she could relax. She transferred 2,000 yuan through Alipay, then hesitated a moment before typing another message. Don't worry, I live with my grandmother. We both like to keep things clean. I'll take good care of the place and won't damage the furniture. Han Yuanjun read the message on his phone. Just from her wording, he could picture her shy, earnest expression and the corners of his lips lifted unconsciously. He started typing a long reply, frowned, then set his phone back on the desk. Instead of sending anything, he pressed the intercom button. A moment later, Yao Xiu walked into the office. Han Yuanjun looked to be in a good mood. He tapped his fingers lightly on the desk. Go find music director Zhu Sheng. Tell him to call Liang Zixuan and ask her to come in for an interview. Zhu Sheng, Yao Xiu blurted out, stunned. Then, seeing Han Yuanjun's expression darken, he forced a smile. President Han, Director Zhu only interviews top musicians. If it's just an ordinary musician, he won't show up at all. Han Yuanjun's gaze turned icy. You're saying Liang Zixuan is an ordinary musician? Han, cold sweat broke out on Yao Xiu's back. He waved his hands in panic. No, that's not what I meant. I mean, if the musician isn't famous yet, Director Zhu usually ignores them. I'm just worried that might delay Miss Liang's entry into Han Group media. Han Yuanjun narrowed his eyes slightly. Tell Zhu Sheng this. Liang Zixuan is interviewing as a songwriter. If she passes, the company will give her a separate studio. She won't be treated as an ordinary employee. He paused, then added, this will be in your name. Don't mention me. She wants to enter Han Group media through proper channels, not through the back door. At that, Yao Xiu's view of Liang Zixuan changed completely. With someone like Han Yuanjun behind her, one word was enough to open every door for her. But she still chose to take the official route and rely on her own ability. Inwardly, he prayed for her. Everyone in the industry knew what kind of person Zhu Sheng was: strict, stubborn, and hard to please. Even big-name musicians trembled before his standards, let alone an unknown like Liang Zixuan. She really had guts. In his mind, Yao Xiu could already see the future. Liang Zixuan clashing head-on with Zhu Sheng, failing miserably, then running back to President Han's arms in tears, asking for comfort. Achoo! Liang Zixuan sneezed and rubbed her nose. A sudden chill ran down her spine, as if someone was talking about her. She was currently supporting Luo Yinyun in the elevator of Lu Reve's building. Luo Yinyun lifted her head and studied her granddaughter. What's wrong? Caught a cold? Didn't I tell you not to sleep on the couch last night? I'm fine, Grandma. Liang Zishuan smiled. Grandma, this apartment is really nice. It suits us perfectly. In Luo Yinyan's mind, a place for 2,000 yuan a month couldn't possibly be that good. But she didn't want her granddaughter to suffer, so she smiled gently. As long as I can stay with you, I'm satisfied. I don't ask for much, as long as it's convenient for you. They stepped out of the elevator. Liang Zishuan took out the key and opened the door. The moment the door swung open and the luxurious interior came into view, Luo Yinyan's jaw dropped. She stood frozen at the entrance, not daring to step inside. She grabbed Liang Zishuan's hand tightly. Zishuan, are you sure? The rent is only 2,000? Of course, Liang Zishuan said, amused. It felt like thunder had rolled through Luo Yinyan's entire body. She swallowed hard. 2,000, really? Yes, Liang Zishuan confirmed with a nod. Luo Yinyan almost lost her balance and quickly held onto her granddaughter, completely stunned. Have housing prices fallen that much? A place like this is only 2,000 yuan a month. Liang Zishuan completely understood how she felt. She herself still found it unbelievable. She helped her grandmother inside and explained the landlord's situation in detail. Only then did Luo Yinyan accept that there was a reason for the low rent. They didn't own many things, so unpacking didn't take long. Within half an hour, they were basically settled. At that moment, Liang Zishuan's phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. The voice on the other end was even and calm. Hello. May I ask if this is Miss Liang Zishuan? She had received too many calls that day and couldn't tell who it might be, so she answered politely, Yes, this is Liang Zishuan. May I know who's calling? I'm Zhu Sheng, music director of Han Group Media. Zhu Sheng. He was one of the top composers in the industry, famous for years, with countless singers under him. Many people begged him for songs, but almost no one succeeded. In the music world, he was practically a legend. Liang Zishuan never imagined he would call her personally. Her heart trembled slightly, and she smiled. Hello, Director Zhu. Are you free this afternoon? He asked, his tone still indifferent. Yes, I am, she replied at once. Then come to Han Group Media for an interview. Be on time. If you miss it, I won't see you again. With that, he hung up. Liang Zishuan stared at the screen in a daze, phone still in her hand. It had been a long time since she'd last heard his name, but his reputation hadn't changed. Even through the phone, she could clearly feel it. That cold arrogance. That faint hint of disdain. Deep down, Liang Zishuan knew one thing very clearly. In Zhu Shang's eyes, she probably didn't even exist. With that awareness, she didn't dare waste a second. She checked the time on her phone. It was 12:15. There were still 45 minutes left. She and her grandmother hadn't eaten lunch yet, and she herself had only managed a few sips of porridge in the morning. But now it was obvious she had no time to eat. Liang Zishuan quickly packed her things, picked up her guitar, said a few words to reassure Luo Yinyan, and rushed out the door. Han Group Media wasn't far from Lu Reve. By the time she got off the subway and arrived, it was exactly 12:50 p.m. She walked into the lobby, went to the front desk, and spoke politely to the receptionist. Hello, my name is Liang Zishuan. I have an appointment with music director Zhu Sheng for an interview. The receptionist glanced at her, then picked up the internal phone and made a call. After confirming, she said, Please take the elevator to the 18th floor. Someone will meet you there. Liang Zishuan thanked her and headed up. When the elevator doors opened on the 18th floor, a well-dressed woman was already waiting outside. This was Zhu Sheng's secretary, Shi Tianjian, who had been instructed to pick her up. The moment she saw Liang Zishuan's bare face and casual clothes, her expression instantly cooled. Follow me. She did not tell Liang Zishuan that Zhu Sheng valued appearance more than most. While many musicians didn't care how they looked, Zhu Sheng wasn't one of them. In his eyes, music and image were tightly linked. He despised people who looked plain, like students who'd never grown out of their school uniforms. Besides, Han Group Media was the biggest entertainment company in the country. They had neither the time nor the patience to slowly train unknown newcomers. Liang Zishuan followed behind Shi Tianjian, clutching her guitar a little dazed. She had no idea why this woman seemed to dislike her at a single glance. She was asked to wait in a conference room. After about 5 minutes, Zhu Sheng walked in wearing a neatly pressed shirt. Just as sure Tianjian had predicted, his brows immediately knitted together when he saw her. His expression darkened. Liang Zixuan rose to her feet and bowed slightly. Director Zhu. He sat down and spoke in a cold, dismissive tone. I assume you've heard of Han Group Media. I don't need to waste time praising the company to you. You probably heard my name as well. If you haven't, you can leave now. Zhu Sheng, the famous musician, idol of countless music students. And this was his attitude? Whatever expectations Liang Zixuan had been holding on to evaporated. With this kind of attitude from the start, it was obvious he hadn't planned to accept her at all. She let out a short laugh. Of course I've heard of you, Director Zhu. There were times when your name was the reason I kept chasing my musical dreams. Her gaze turned sharp, but I didn't expect that the idol I admired for so long would have this kind of character. I just walked in, and before I even said a word, you'd already decided to look down on me. So I'd really like to know, what exactly are you looking down on? Me or my music? Zhu Sheng's face darkened further. He hadn't expected some unknown girl to talk back to him, let alone question his character to his face. He let out a cold laugh. Don't tell me you don't even know to put on makeup when you go out? That's the most basic form of respect in front of me. If you can't even handle basic courtesy, how could you possibly make good music? So that was it. In that moment, Liang Zixuan understood why Shi Tianjian had looked at her with contempt as soon as the elevator doors opened. It was all because she wasn't wearing makeup, but she didn't bother explaining. People like him weren't interested in hearing any explanations that didn't fit their own views. She lifted her chin slightly and smiled. Director Zhu hasn't heard a single note of my work, yet you've already decided my music is bad. All because I'm not wearing makeup? Who decided that someone who looks plain can't write good songs? Her eyes grew colder as she continued. If I remember correctly, you weren't born into some prestigious music family either. When you first started, weren't you just as ordinary as I am now? Her words struck a sore spot. Zhu Sheng's chest tightened. It was true. He had started from nothing, with no background, no connections. The road had been brutally hard, and getting to where he was now hadn't come easy. Now, he actually felt like he was being lectured by a girl who had just walked into his office. He frowned. What songs have you written? Every song Liang Zixuan had written in her past life had been stolen by Wei Xiaoqing. If she named any of them, Zhu Sheng would never believe they were hers. Not only would it be useless, it might make him look down on her even more. So she changed her approach. What I've written before doesn't represent my current level. I specialize in love songs. Love songs can be melancholic too. If Director Zhu is willing to give me a chance, you can pick any theme you want. I'll write a brand new song for you on the spot. In half an hour. She wasn't bragging. In her previous life, Wei Xiaoqing's fame had been built entirely on the songs she composed. Many of those songs had gone viral. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that her work had been enough to support B-list singers, at the very least. Of course, in this timeline, none of those songs existed yet. Right now, everything could still be changed. Zhu Sheng snorted coldly. Arrogant. Write a new song in half an hour? Which musician dared to say that in front of him? Even he, Zhu Sheng, could not guarantee that. In his eyes, Liang Zixuan was just talking nonsense. He opened the laptop Shi Tianjian had prepared earlier, clicked on a folder, and pulled up a photo. He turned the screen toward her and pointed. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. This is the newcomer the company plans to promote. On the screen was Qin Yu, a second-year student at the Film Academy, just 20 years old. She was Han Yuanjuan's niece, and her father was also a shareholder in Han Group Media. That very morning, Zhu Sheng had received word that Han Yuanjun intended for Qin Yu to star in Su Zhengxiang's new film, Girl of the Rose, and release her debut album at the same time. It will be the perfect time to make her explode in popularity.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
After receiving this task, Zhu Sheng suffered a headache for a while because he knew that the people under him were good at playing pop, rock, and roll music, and they were also good at playing classics. Qin had to take a pure campus teenager appearance in the film, so Zhu Sheng immediately ran out of ideas. When Liang Zixuan saw the photo, she almost laughed. Qin, did Zhu Sheng just open the back door for her? In a previous life, Liang Zixuan's voice was shattered and she was locked in a villa in the suburbs. Wei Xiaoqing acted in Girl of a Rose, and the song sung in the film was written by Liang Zixuan. At that time, in order to curry favor from Han Group Media, Wei Xiaoqing deliberately gave this song to them, so Qin Yu had sung it. Eventually, the film became popular, and even Qin Yu had relied on this song to quickly become famous in the music industry. This was heaven-defying. Liang Zixuan actually didn't think Zhu Sheng would be a pious helper. Seeing the excitement on her face, Zhu Sheng became confused. Although Qin Yu was contracted to be an artist under Han Group Media, she never made a single appearance in film or television series, nor did she release a single song. The question was, how did Liang Zixuan know her? Zhu Sheng frowned. Do you know her? Liang Zixuan held back her laughter and pretended to shake her head. I don't know her, but that's not the problem. The point is, I will write a song for her in half an hour. She opened her bag, took out a pen and a music book, and quickly began writing the lyrics. Zhu Sheng sat in his chair and looked at Liang Zixuan's quick writing and snorted in his heart. What good song can you write in half an hour? Are you joking? He glanced at Liang Zixuan several times before pulling his gaze back. It was impossible for someone as godly as him to produce the song, let alone a fledgling girl like her. He wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. He even thought arrogantly that if Liang Zixuan could write a complete song in half an hour, then he would eat shit, live. But even though Zhu Sheng didn't like Liang Zixuan, he couldn't help but be curious. He had wanted to open up the computer to look at the documents or take a look at his new work, but his eyes couldn't help but glance in her direction. 15 minutes passed, and Zhu Sheng finally couldn't resist his curiosity. He stood up and walked behind her. He lowered his head and looked down at the notes in her music book. The lyric in the music book caused his eyes to lighten up, as if he had discovered a new continent. Immediately, he turned around and ran out of the conference room like a gust of wind. President Han! President Han! Yao Xiao ran to the CEO's office with a sweaty head. He was so happy that his eyes shone as he looked at Han Yuanjun, who was working at his desk. Han Yuanjun looked up and saw his happy expression. He immediately understood what was going on and put down the pen in his hand. He smiled and calmly asked, "How is it?" "Just like you said, she is too outstanding." Yao Xiao was so excited that he forgot to maintain his calmness in front of Han Yuanjun. He was like a duck that had been injected with stimulants, cackling nonstop. When Liang Zixuan first arrived, not to mention Director Zhu, even his secretary looked down on her and gave her a disdainful look. Yao Xiao couldn't help but laugh out loud. How could he not be excited when he saw Zhu Sheng being slapped in the face for the first time in his life? He was provoked by Liang Zixuan's promise to write a song for half an hour. At that time, Zhu Sheng could not believe it. He said even he, himself, could not write a complete song in such a short period of time. Of course, he did not believe that she could do it. Seeing Yao Xiao's radiant expression, Han Yuanjun knew that the situation was definitely evolving in a better direction. Still, he couldn't help but want to hear what Yao Xiao had to say. Everything about Liang Zixuan, he would love to hear it. Just 15 minutes had passed, and Zhu Sheng couldn't take it anymore. He walked behind Liang Zixuan, and his eyes were already shining. He immediately called Qin Yu, forced her to skip lessons, and even told her over the phone that he had discovered a hard-earned talent for the first time in his 50 years. TSK. This rating is very high. Look at whose woman she is. Han Yuanjun thought proudly in his heart. How can the woman he likes be so bad? As soon as Yao Xiao finished with his joy, he realized that he had lost his composure in front of Han Yuanjun. He quickly stood up straight and silently glancing at Han Yuanjun's face. Seeing that there was an arrogant and proud expression on his face, Yao Xiao's mouth couldn't help but twitch. Once he calmed down, Yao Xiao asked confusedly, President Han, who in this industry doesn't know Zhu Sheng's arrogant temperament. Other than seniors who are more experienced than him, no one else dared to be interested in him. You actually dare to ask him to meet Liang Zixuan. Aren't you afraid of making things difficult for her? Even if Han Yuanjun really considered it for Liang Zixuan's sake, he wouldn't ask Zhu Sheng to interview her. The position of music director may be considered the highest. Zhu Sheng would never step in unless the person was really successful in music or was a talent that he tried to recruit. Normal people couldn't even be interviewed by him. And Han Yuanjun actually asked Zhu Sheng to interview Liang Zixuan. Wasn't that the same as switching her interview mode to super difficult mode all of a sudden? Originally, Han Yuanjun didn't have to explain anything to Yao Xiao. He was the boss and Yao Xiao was his subordinate. So why did he have to explain anything to him? Still, he was in a good mood and couldn't help but brag. He pursed his lips and chuckled softly. You think I'm making things difficult for her? Yao Xiao was stunned for a moment, then unconsciously looked at him. He didn't think Han Yuanjun would really explain himself. Han Yuanjun said, "This morning, I deliberately gave Qin Yu the role in Girl of the Rose. I even called Zhu Sheng to come and let him be in charge of her debut album by following her character in the film." Han Yuanjun raised his eyebrows. To produce a song that could be sung and suitable for teenagers is rare. No one under Zhu Sheng could do it. That's why I gave him this difficult task, and it was enough to make him anxious. Also, with the relationship between Qin Yu and Han Group Media, I believe there is no one in the company who will dare to take on this task. For him, Liang Zixuan, who is coming to the interview at this time, is definitely providing timely assistance. Therefore, I will send her to him. Even if he looked down on her before, after seeing her work, he would have a new level of respect for her. Moreover, the respect and goodwill towards her is stronger than before. The icing on the cake wasn't so touching as offering coal in the middle of a blizzard. Even more so, Han Yuanjun didn't expect Liang Zixuan to finish her creation of the new song on the spot. He thought she needed time. This made him have a new respect for her. Yao Xiao couldn't help but give Han Yuanjun a thumbs up behind his back. Who said that their president was not close to women? Who said that their president was lacking in love? It was just that he had never met someone who moved his heart, and now, after he met Liang Zixuan, he shamelessly used the scheme on the internet to seduce his woman. Zhu Sheng probably wouldn't have thought that he would be tricked by their president. Regardless of Liang Zixuan's talent in the music field, if she went through a back door or was interviewed by another manager, her own ability would be greatly diminished in the eyes of others. Getting an interview with Zhu Sheng was like giving her gold plating, and no one would ever underestimate her. Now Yao Xiao finally understood why Zhu Sheng had to meet Liang Zixuan. This wasn't making things difficult for her at all, but paving a wide and bright path for her. However, that was only because Liang Zixuan had the ability. If that were someone else, they wouldn't be worthy in Zhu Sheng's eyes. At this moment, Han Yuanjun suddenly picked up the phone on his desk and dialed the number. After a while, Yao Xiao heard him saying, "Qin Yu, where are you?" Qin Yu was a little flattered when she received Han Yuanjun's call. Although she was considered close to Han Yuanjun and much younger than him, she usually considered her uncle too serious and didn't smile. That's why, when she received his call, she was shocked because he never took the initiative to call her. Almost arrived at the company. Han Yuanjun nodded contentedly. "I'll go with you for a while." Yao Xiao, "Actually, President Han, you don't have to use Qin Yu's name to visit Liang Zixuan." Liang Zixuan put down her pen and looked at Zhu Sheng, who had been standing in front of her, and said politely, "I'm done." Zhu Sheng held out his hand, and Liang Zixuan handed over her music book. Not only did the song complete, even the lyrics were also filled out. Zhu Sheng read those words silently in his heart and couldn't help but laugh. "I really didn't expect that you could create a song in half an hour." Seeing the unabashed admiration in Zhu Sheng's eyes, Liang Zixuan humbly replied, "It's just a coincidence that my songs suit with Ms. Qin." Zhu Sheng had forgotten how Liang Zixuan knew Qin Yu. He really admired her talent. Today, Liang Zixuan finally solved a big problem for him. As Han Yuanjun said, Zhu Sheng's appreciation of Liang Zixuan was not just so simple. It even had a little bit of gratitude. It was as if he had acquired a very valuable treasure. They talked about the song shortly before Qin Yu arrived. Zhu Sheng raised his head and immediately saw Han Yuanjun walking behind her. He immediately stood up and greeted him respectfully. President Han. Liang Zixuan's scalp went numb upon hearing those two words. She turned around reflexively and saw Han Yuanjun standing behind her. She didn't know why, but her face suddenly turned red. She didn't even dare look at him. Liang Zixuan immediately stood up, bowed her head, and respectfully called, "Young Master Han." No one was surprised that she knew him. After all, who is Han Yuanjun? He's a big shot that frequently appeared in the media news, so there probably wasn't anyone who didn't know him. In Zhu Sheng's and Qin Yu's hearts, they all believed that Han Yuanjun came for Qin Yu. The shooting for Girl of the Rose will start in a week. Because time was of the essence, Han Yuanjun had to pay close attention to her. After all, Qin Yu was his niece. Little did they know, Han Yuanjun was only here for Liang Zixuan. If Qin Yu knows this, she must be angered to death. Zhu Sheng began introduced Liang Zixuan to Han Yuanjun from the side. President Han, this is the one who just came for today's interview. Liang Zixuan. She managed to write a song for Qin Yu in half an hour. She's really great. His words did not hide his admiration for Liang Zixuan in the slightest. Han Yuanjun was getting more proud of her. However, in front of these people, he just nodded without showing emotion on his face. His gaze was fixed on Liang Zixuan's face as he said, "That's good." Liang Zixuan lowered her head slightly under his gaze, feeling her cheeks burn hotter. Zhu Sheng then asked for Han Yuanjun's opinion. President Han, since Qin Yu is here, let's let her see her song and sing it on the spot. That way, we can see whether this song suits her or not. It was only then that Han Yuanjun shifted his gaze away from Liang Zixuan's face. He walked a few steps forward. "I don't mind. You're the professional one here. You are the one who makes the decisions." He showed that he was here only to take a look and didn't put any pressure on Zhu Sheng or Liang Zixuan at all. This was one of the reasons why so many talented people in the entertainment industry were willing to compete for the Han Group media's favor. As long as you can compete for top positions in the industry, you have the absolute right to have a say in the industry. Han Yuanjun never saw the process. What he wanted was only a result. Zhu Sheng understood this and handed the music book to Qin Yu. Han Yuanjun then saw Liang Zixuan's guitar lying on the side of the chair. So he asked her, "Can you play the guitar?" No matter how far Han Yuanjun was from Liang Zixuan, she could not ignore his strong sense of presence. I only know how to play a little bit." It was not that she was modest, it was just that she was afraid of being nervous and making a mistake. Zhu Sheng looked at Han Yuanjun, who was standing on the side and couldn't hold back his laughter. Even the shrewd old people in Han Group media would be nervous if they saw him, let alone displayed themselves in front of him. It was all due to his strong aura, which put a lot of pressure on people. Zhu Sheng patted Liang Zixuan's shoulder and comforted her. "It's okay. President Han is just looking around. Don't be nervous. Believe in your own strength." Han Yuanjun looked at Zhu Sheng's hand that was placed on Liang Zixuan's shoulder. His eyes darkened and squinted dangerously. In his heart, he remembered Zhu Sheng's name in his blacklist book. Luckily, Zhu Sheng only patted her once, then moved away just in time. Liang Zixuan took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. "All right." Then, she walked over and talked with Qin Yu for a while. Qin Yu nodded. "I'm done." Liang Zixuan picked up her guitar and carried it on her back. Her fingers strummed the string, testing the tone, before nodding to Qin Yu. With the flick of her fingers, the guitar started to play a melodious tune. Qin Yu picked up the music book and started to sing along. Qin Yu's singing was still a little awkward, but as they entered the second verse, under Liang Zixuan's guidance, she gradually regained her composure. It was also because the song's melody was really lively and the lyrics were smooth, causing Qin Yu to be completely comfortable. As she sang, Qin Yu's legs began to jump uncontrollably. Liang Zixuan looked at her and then fully joined her. She played the guitar while jumping around with Qin Yu. Two young girls, one singing and the other playing the guitar, happily jumping along. This sight was really pleasing to the eye. Han Yuanjuan's heart skipped a beat. Liang Zixuan was like a ray of light in his eyes, very bright and dazzling at this moment. She was born for music, so natural and pure. Even Zhu Sheng, who was standing next to him, and Yao Xiao, who was standing at the door, could not control their legs and began to follow the beat. As the last note on the guitar was played, Qinyu eagerly went to hug Liang Zixuan. With the guitar between them, Qinyu felt very uncomfortable, but she was very excited. The discomfort in her heart had completely faded. She said, "I really like this song." Liang Zixuan was being hugged so tightly that she forgot to reply. There was a minute of silence inside the room before the first round of applause was finally heard. The applause came from Han Yuanjun. Then Zhu Sheng and Yao Xiao came back to their senses and clapped happily. Han Yuanjuan's eyes lightened up as he looked at Liang Zixuan. "This is the best song I've heard." It instantly killed all works by professional composers. Liang Zixuan's face immediately reddened. At this moment, Han Yuanjun really hated Wei Xiaoqing from the bottom of his heart. If Liang Zixuan appeared in front of the audience with her own images, he believed that she would be more famous than Wei Xiaoqing. Because her interpretation of music and her natural and independent nature was 10,000 times better than Wei Xiaoqing's act. Zhu Sheng could not hide his excitement at all. He said excitedly, "I really didn't think that this song was just a masterpiece made in half an hour. Liang Zixuan, you made me have a new understanding of musical people." After their praise, she finally responded. She first patted Qinyu's shoulder before saying, "Miss Qin, thank you for liking my song." Qiyu frowned unhappily. "Why do you call me Miss Qin? Seeing that we are the same age, you can call me Qinyu." Liang Zixuan smiled and nodded as she called her Qinyu. Qinyu started laughing happily. Coming out of Qinyu's embrace, Liang Zixuan bowed towards Han Yuanjun and Zhu Sheng. "Thank you, young Master Han. Thank you, Director Zhu, for your appreciation." Without waiting for Han Yuanjun to speak, Qinyu eagerly grabbed Liang Zixuan's arm and lifted her chin towards Han Yuanjun. "Uncle, I want her. I want her to take care of my entire album." Han Yuanjuan's face immediately went dark. Earlier, Qinyu said that she was almost the same age as Liang Zixuan and asked Liang Zixuan to call her Qinyu. In the end, she just turned around and called him uncle. No need to tell everyone that he was 10 years older. In the presence of Liang Zixuan, one thing that crossed Han Yuanjuan's bottom line was his own age. Liang Zixuan noticed the change in Han Yuanjuan's face. She thought he didn't want her to be responsible for Qinyu's entire album. After all, his expression was valid because she was a newcomer in Han Group Media. It's good enough that she can write songs for Qinyu, so how can she take care of the entire album? Even Zhu Sheng, who was standing on the side, felt the same way when he saw Han Yuanjuan's expression. Just when Zhu Sheng was about to speak for Liang Zixuan, Han Yuanjun suddenly said coldly, "Qinyu, call me President Han." There was a bit of anger in his words. Liang Zixuan, Zhu Sheng, Qinyu. Yao Xiao, who was standing in the doorway, couldn't hold back his laughter anymore. He felt sorry for Qinyu at this moment. Qinyu blinked and replied in a low voice, "Oh." This uncle was still as cold as ever. She thought that if she really appreciated his effort, he wouldn't be so cold to her. Han Yuanjuan's expression immediately softened as he looked at Liang Zixuan. He said in a friendly tone, "Liang Zixuan, you will be in charge of Qinyu's album. Time is of the essence. It will be hard for you." Qinyu. Why was the comparison between the treatments so huge? If she couldn't tell at this moment, then she would be stupid. She glanced at Liang Zixuan and felt it was strange. When had Han Yuanjun ever talked to someone softly before? However, Qinyu was not an evil-hearted person, and in her heart, she really liked Liang Zixuan. She immediately hugged her again. "Thank you for your hard work." Liang Zixuan smiled shyly. "Of course." Zhu Sheng walked over and held out his hand to her. "Welcome to the circle, Liang Zixuan." She shook his hand politely. Han Yuanjuan's eyes turned even darker. If it weren't for the fact that he saw Zhu Sheng immediately let go of her, he would definitely have walked over and kicked him out. When everything seemed to return to normal, Liang Zixuan then turned to look at Han Yuanjun in neither a humble nor an arrogant manner. "Can I make a request?" Zhu Sheng's smiling face immediately turned cold. Some people dare to ask for a request during the interview, but only those with strong abilities and great fame dare to do so. Although Zhu Sheng admired her talent, he was very dissatisfied with her absurd manner, especially those who think that if they were admired by others, they would be able to ask for more. Zhu Sheng had seen many people like this before. Han Yuanjun looked at Liang Zixuan with unperturbed eyes, as if her words didn't surprise him at all. He said calmly, "Speak." It was clear that no matter what her request was, he would agree to it. Amid everyone's surprise and a bit of dissatisfaction, Liang Zixuan slowly opened her mouth and said, "I hope the work I wrote can be named after me." She didn't want what had happened to her before to happen again. All her hard work, all her efforts were given to someone else. Zhu Sheng and Qin Yu didn't understand why she uttered such words. Why was she so worried about this? However, Han Yuanjun was very aware of her situation. The light in his eyes became deeper as he looked at her. His eyes were as dark as ink, with dark waves churning within, but no one could see it. His heart ached for no reason, as if it had been pricked by a needle. After a moment of silence, Han Yuanjun said coldly, "Liang Zixuan, follow me." Zhu Sheng and Qin Yu looked at each other, not knowing what he meant. Yao Xiu immediately stepped forward and explained, "President Han may want to discuss a contract with Liang Zixuan. After all, our company's contract does not include the clause mentioned by her just now." Zhu Sheng and Qin Yu immediately felt relieved. Zhu Sheng nodded. "Indeed, although we have never discussed things like this before, I know that this happens in any company. Companies should really add this clause into the contract to protect the interests of their employees. No matter in which company, even in various industries, there are many bosses who, in order to get credit, forcibly change the work of their subordinates into their own name. Many people have to experience pressure from their superiors and difficulty getting back to work. Even though Zhu Sheng wouldn't do that, that didn't mean others didn't do it. He had heard this before. But because the contract did not include this clause, these unlucky people did not dare to fight for it in fear of losing their jobs. Seeing that they both had no doubts, Yao Xiu said a farewell and then chased after Han Yuanjun and Liang Zixuan. Han Yuanjun led Liang Zixuan to the elevator. They said nothing along the way. Since he didn't say anything, Liang Zixuan naturally didn't dare to say anything and was very nervous. She was afraid that Han Yuanjun would think her request was too silly. He obviously gave her a chance to enter Han Group Media, but before they even signed the contract, she had already requested something from him. Thinking of it this way, Liang Zixuan thought that maybe she was out of line. However, this was for her own sake, and after all that had happened to her in the previous life, she had to raise this issue. This was something she was already thinking about when she arrived today. Regardless of whether or not she will offend Han Yuanjun, she will insist on doing so. After exiting the elevator and walking to the door of the president's office, Han Yuanjun abruptly stopped. Liang Zixuan also stopped. Han Yuanjun looked straight at the elevator. Liang Zixuan looked at him and became more agitated. He didn't say anything, but now he abruptly stopped. She was really under a lot of pressure. It wasn't until Yao Xiu got out of the elevator and ran towards them that Han Yuanjun finally opened his mouth. Yao Xiu, according to Liang Zixuan's request, make a new contract. Also, change the contract to 20 years. You must finish it by this afternoon. 20 years. Yao Xiu subconsciously looked at Liang Zixuan, and in his heart, he couldn't help but give his big boss a big thumbs up. Han Yuanjun was going to tie Liang Zixuan to him. To think that he could speak in such hegemonic terms so brazenly, he really deserved to be admired. Yes, President Han. After Yao Xiu heard this, he immediately ran back towards the elevator. Han Yuanjun finally opened the office door and turned to look at Liang Zixuan. Liang Zixuan was stunned. Han Yuanjun opened the door for her. She didn't dare to move or took a step forward. Meanwhile, Han Yuanjun remained standing there, waiting for her to walk inside. In the end, she couldn't bear his intense gaze anymore and forced herself to walk inside first. Han Yuanjun entered and closed the door behind him. Suddenly, he grabbed Liang Zixuan's shoulder and pushed her against the door. Liang Zixuan was trapped. Her back slammed into the door, causing her to moan in pain. Han Yuanjun lowered his head and stared straight into her eyes. His eyes flickered with a bright light, and he deliberately lowered his voice, asking her in a low and patient voice, "Liang Zixuan, listen to me carefully. I won't let anyone bully you as long as I am here." The voice was right above her head, so close that she could feel his warm breath. She understood it. Han Yuanjun was referring to the condition she had mentioned just now. Her face slowly turned red under his penetrating gaze. She bit her lip, not knowing how to respond. Han Yunjuan's slender fingers hooked into Liang Zixuan's lower jaw and lifted it gently, making her look up at him. "I can barely stand it," he said in a low voice. Want to what?" Liang Zixuan blinked. Her curly eyelashes fluttered like two little fans. In Han Yuanjuan's eyes, she was very adorable. He let out a soft laugh that was both sounded very sexy and pleasant. Even Hoingyi had never been gentle with Liang Zixuan in her previous life. Her heart immediately skipped a beat. "Why, young Master Han?" Han Yuanjun suddenly kissed her, blocking the words that came out her mouth, sucking all of her breath. Liang Zixuan's breathing immediately became irregular. Under his aggressive assault, her brain exploded. They were in his office. Maybe someone will come at some point. Liang Zixuan immediately pushed him away in a panic. Han Yuanjuan's hand moved away from her chin. He grabbed the hands that were pushing him and pressed them against the door. Ugh! Liang Zixuan was like a little feral cat caught on a wooden board, unable to move at all. She can only bear it. After a while, Han Yuanjun finally let go of her lips reluctantly, but he didn't let go of her. "You really are a heart-aching little girl." So, he wanted to kiss her in front of so many people now, whenever he felt hurt for her. What kind of shameful act was this? Liang Zixuan stared at him with an unhappy expression. "Young Master Han, can you let me go now?" Her face was red and angry, like a little cat. It's clear she had no fighting strength, but she still pretended to be strong and waved her little claws at him. The more Han Yuanjun saw this, the more adorable she looked in his eyes. Han Yuanjun let out a low and hoarse laugh. He moved forward and pressed her tightly against the door. He then raised his eyebrows provocatively and said, "No." He will push her even further. Liang Zixuan was so angry. She took a deep breath through her nose and tried her best to act fiercely in front of him. "Young Master Han, this is your office. Please control yourself." "Oh." Han Yuanjun pursed his lips. "You mean as long as we are not in my office, it's okay?" Liang Zixuan. She didn't mean that at all, okay? This man clearly understood her words, but he still pretended to be confused with her. Liang Zixuan gritted her teeth angrily. Things like this will only happen when two people have the same feelings for each other, and that's not something you can assume alone, young Master Han. Maybe, in your eyes, women always hurried to jump into your arms. The other women are so happy that they would go crazy if you spare a glance at them. But I'm not them. Please respect my wishes. The meaning was very clear. She didn't want any of this. Han Yuanjuan's smile immediately faded, and his grip on her wrist grew tighter. A distinct pain came from her wrist, but Liang Zixuan kept staring at him fearlessly. Han Yuanjun squinted his long and narrow eyes dangerously. The coldness from his body spread around the air. Under his frightened gaze, Liang Zixuan could barely hold it. At that moment, Han Yuanjuan's phone rang. Han Yuanjun stared at her without moving. He reached into his back pocket and took out his phone, then swiped the answer button and placed it next to his ear. Yao Xiu's respectful voice came out of the phone. "President Han, I just saw Jiang Huifeng and Wei Xiaoqing looking for Director Zhu. I wonder if they're going to cause a trouble." Liang Zixuan was so near to the phone that she could easily hear every word coming from the other end. Her heart, which had been soothed by the phone call, began to pound again. She gazed uneasily at Han Yuanjun and watched him hang up the phone after saying, "Understood." "Young Master Han." Liang Zixuan frowned. The seriousness on her face made her look like a female fighter. She was strong and firm. They must be here for me. I will deal with them. Han Yuanjun put his cell phone back, glanced at her, and said with a stern look, "Didn't I say I won't let anyone bully you?" These words are not just for show. After saying that, he released his grip from her and pushed her to the sofa. "Wait for me here obediently. You are not allowed to go anywhere." "Young Master Han." Liang Zixuan wanted to stand up, but Han Yuanjun pushed her shoulder down forcefully. She could only lift her head and insisted, "This is my personal problem. I can handle it on my own." Han Yuanjun squatted in front of her. With a cold smile, he then said in a domineering and strong manner, "Your problem is my problem, whether you are willing or not." Without giving her a chance to reject it, Han Yuanjun got up and walked out of the room. Liang Zixuan watched as the door closed loudly in front of her eyes. Her heart felt like it was being pulled by something. It hurts a little. This was the first time in her 2 lives that she was protected like this. It felt like being held in someone's palm, like she was dreaming. However, she was wrong. Jiang Huifeng and Wei Xiaoqing didn't come here because they knew Liang Zixuan was here, but because Zhu Sheng was in a hurry when accepting the task of making an album for Qinyu. He contacted Wei Xiaoqing. He wanted to buy 2 songs from her. Jiang Huifeng and Wei Xiaoqing were brought to the office by Shi Tianjian, where Zhu Sheng was. Seeing Zhu Sheng, Wei Xiaoqing immediately walked over, smiling. "Hello, Director Zhu. We have an appointment at 2:30. Zhu Sheng turned to face her, still maintaining his cold and arrogant face. "Miss Wei, I was planning to buy 2 songs from you, but unfortunately, I just found someone else." The interview went very well, and she was exactly who I was looking for. "I'm sorry for wasting your time by coming here." As he spoke, the coldness on his face could be clearly seen. Jiang Huifeng was not happy at all when she heard this. "What do you mean? Don't tell us we've come here for nothing." Her voice was not loud, but loud enough to be heard by everyone in the office. Quite a few people stuck their heads out to see the commotion. Although Wei Xiaoqing was also unhappy, she really didn't dare offend people from Han Group Media. She grabbed Jiang Huifeng's dress, signaling her to stop talking. Wei Xiaoqing still had a harmless smile on her face. "Director Zhu, as far as I know, a good love song that is suitable for campus students is rare to find. May I know who the person is? How could you be so pleased with her?" Although Wei Xiaoqing didn't know how to compose lyrics, she knew all the celebrities in the industry. Hence, she naturally knew Zhu Sheng's name and his personality. To be able to make him feel pleased, Wei Xiaoqing thought about how amazingly the person was to be able to earn appreciation. Zhu Sheng didn't want to hide anything and wanted the mother-daughter pair to leave as soon as possible. So he casually replied, "Liang Zixuan." Liang Zixuan, Jiang Huifeng, and Wei Xiaoqing said it at the same time. They looked at Zhu Sheng in disbelief. It was as if a bomb had been thrown at their heads and exploded with a loud bang. Zhu Sheng looked at them and asked in surprise, "You two know her?" Jiang Huifeng's heart was filled with shock and fear. She wanted to take this opportunity to disrupt Liang Zixuan's work. She sneered, "I know her, of course. I do know her." Liang Zixuan used to be Xiaoqing's makeup artist, but because her hands and feet were dirty she didn't dare come to work for these 3 days. I really didn't think that she would really run to Han Group Media. The words "dirty hands and feet" immediately made Zhu Sheng's heart go cold. Wei Xiaoqing was a genuine singer, and all of her songs were written by herself. If Liang Zixuan's hands and feet were dirty, could it be that she stole Wei Xiaoqing's song, and that's why she ran out? And what about the song that was written in the last half hour? Did that mean Wei Xiaoqing wrote it and Liang Zixuan memorized and stole it? Actually, there were many flaws in Jiang Huifeng's words. Zhu Sheng could grasp it just by thinking about it. Still, the words "dirty hands and feet" had affected his state of mind. So, naturally, he misunderstood Jiang Huifeng's words. Seeing Zhu Sheng's skeptical face, Jiang Huifeng knew that she had succeeded and tried her best to make him hate Liang Zixuan. Liang Zixuan has a terrible character. She was narrow-minded and selfish, and her hands and feet were not clean. That's why I fired her. Zhu Sheng, who originally admired Liang Zixuan's character. When hearing this, his face immediately became dark. Wei Xiaoqing blinked and grabbed Jiang Huifang's hand as if she was a good person. She whispered, "Mom, don't say it anymore." Jiang Huifang turned to look at her and sighed. Your heart is too good. Liang Zixuan had done many embarrassing things, but you kept them hidden just to protect her. Wei Xiaoqing looked down and didn't say anything, but a sinister smile flashed past her eyes. Jiang Huifang patted Wei Xiaoqing's hand, then turned around and said to Zhu Sheng, "Director Zhu, don't be fooled by Liang Zixuan's appearance. She can't stand seeing other people happy. As a boss, I just said a few words to her, and she dared to slap my face. That's fine because I saw that she was young and had a temper, so I didn't bother with her. But guess what? She also stole our stuff while she talked about bad things about Xiaoqing and me outside. Even Xiaoqing's boyfriend is someone that she wants to seduce. Tell me, how does your Han Group media set its sights on someone like her?" Although everyone had seen the news yesterday, they only found out about the scandal between Jiang Huifang and Wei Xiaoqing, but no one knew that Liang Zixuan was Wei Xiaoqing's sister. Otherwise, Jiang Huifang's words would immediately backfire. Now, not to mention those who came to watch the show, even Zhu Sheng felt disgusted towards Liang Zixuan. His face alternated between green and blue as his lips drew a straight line. At this moment, Wei Xiaoqing raised her head and frowned, pretending to grumble. "I ended up writing 2 new songs some time ago, but she stole them. I was going to ask her to return it, but she refused. She even slapped me and embarrassed me in front of everyone." Wei Xiaoqing raised her hand to cover her face. Thinking of Liang Zixuan's hypocrisy just now, Zhu Sheng didn't expect that she would be a person who likes to steal someone's work. Zhu Sheng immediately got angry and called Shi Tianjian, "Go to the HR department and tell them that I don't want Liang Zixuan here anymore." Just as he completed his sentence, a low, cold voice came from the door. "Director Zhu, who gave you the courage to reject the person I approved of?" The whole office became quiet. Even the sound of a pin dropping can be heard. Everyone turned and looked toward the door. They saw Han Yuanjun, with one hand in his pocket, walking straight in. His eyes and expression were cold. When he saw the crowd, he once again returned to his cold and quiet appearance, which was his opposite appearance whenever he was with Liang Zixuan. His appearance gave a sense of oppression to the public. Seeing him, Zhu Sheng immediately stood up straight and called out respectfully, "President Han." Han Yuanjun was 1.84 meters tall, half a head taller than Zhu Sheng. He looked down at Zhu Sheng condescendingly, and his eyes became colder. "Director Zhu, you don't think that you could make any decision regarding Liang Zixuan without my permission, do you?" Under his intense gaze, Zhu Sheng slowly lowered his head, and not even a trace of arrogance could be seen in his face. After Han Yuanjun gave him a face, he finally started being arrogant. If Han Yuanjun didn't give him a face, then what right should he, Zhu Sheng, be arrogant? Jiang Huifang's eyes immediately lit up when she saw Han Yuanjun. She immediately smiled. "Young Master Han, my name is Jiang Huifang, and this is my daughter, Wei Xiaoqing." Han Yuanjun didn't even look at them and immediately ignored their presence. But who was Jiang Huifang? Han Yuanjun ignored her, so she sought a sense of existence. She pushed Wei Xiaoqing to Han Yuanjun's side and introduced her proudly. "My Xiaoqing is the hottest singer of the year. She's beautiful and has a sweet voice. She is the pure jade girl that everyone is talking about." "I know," Han Yuanjun scoffed. "A pure jade girl who climbed into her sister's boyfriend's bed at the age of 16. Wei Xiaoqing's face immediately turned red as she bit her lips in complaint. No, I was framed by Liang Zixuan. I didn't." Han Yuanjun raised his eyebrow and said, "You don't have to explain to me the rotten things between you and Liang Zixuan. Since Hoing Yi has chosen you, then tie him up properly. Don't let him bother Liang Zixuan again." When he said that, everyone in the office was shocked. Even Zhu Sheng raised his head and looked at Han Yuanjun in disbelief. His words were combined with yesterday's news. So that means Liang Zixuan was Wei Xiaoqing's sister? So just now, when Jiang Huifang said that Liang Zixuan had lured Wei Xiaoqing's boyfriend, The truth was the opposite? How embarrassing for someone to say such words. Jiang Huifeng's face immediately turned pale. Young Master Han, Liang Zixuan is not a good person. Don't listen to her words. Han Yuanjun laughed mockingly. I shouldn't listen to her words? Don't tell me that I should listen to your black and white words. Jiang Huifeng's face turned even uglier as she quickly changed the topic. What do you mean by that? What I'm saying is the truth. Liang Zixuan stole Xiaoqing's song and used it to interview here. Han Yuanjun interrupted her coldly and said to Zhu Sheng, take out Liang Zixuan's music book. The music book was in Qin Yu's hands. When she left, she asked Zhu Sheng to help her return it to Liang Zixuan. Currently, the music book was in Zhu Sheng's office. Zhu Sheng let Shi Tianjian took it and handed it to Han Yuanjun. Han Yuanjun opened the music book and tore the pages. He tore out 2/3 of the page and left the first paragraph. Finally, he turned around and handed the paper to Wei Xiaoqing. Wei Xiaoqing was confused when she heard Han Yuanjun say, this is Liang Zixuan's interview song. You said that she stole your song, so now you can write the full song. As long as you do that, I believe she stole your song. What? Wei Xiaoqing was stunned and could not say a word. How can she write a song? The previous songs were all written by Liang Zixuan. She didn't know anything at all. Han Yuanjun looked at her and narrowed his eyes. You claim that you wrote your own song. Don't tell me that you forgot it. Wei Xiaoqing's expression froze. She wanted to dig a hole and hide in it. She never thought that Han Yuanjun would suddenly come. She never thought that Han Yuanjun would expose her true colors. Wei Xiaoqing gritted her teeth and braced herself as she said, Liang Zixuan stole my song. She used it in this interview. The song wouldn't be the same as before. She may have changed it a bit. Is that so? Han Yuanjun frowned in disgust. He suddenly smiled and said, fine, you don't have to write the full song. 50% same is fine. I'll consider it as her stealing your song. With that, he said to Shi Tianjian, bring her a guitar. I remember she played it at the party a few days ago. Shi Tianjian moved very fast. As soon as Han Yuanjun finished his sentence, she handed the guitar to Wei Xiaoqing. Wei Xiaoqing's face immediately turned pale. She didn't even dare to take the guitar. She didn't even know how to play the guitar. Jiang Huifeng couldn't take it anymore. She pushed the guitar back towards Shi Tianjian, then raised her head and stuck out her chest, putting on her noble woman's posture as she said in a broken voice, even if Liang Zixuan didn't steal Xiaoqing's song, she still couldn't work at Han Group Media. Zhu Sheng's face turned green when he heard it. How could this person be so shameless? Were the words she uttered just now all lies? To think that he would believe it. Han Yuanjun laughed. What? Jiang Huifeng lifted her chin, tried her best to look confident. This is because she worked at our company and did not leave her job. Second, even if she leaves, she still can't find a relevant job within 2 years. The contract clearly states that she is binding by the law. Han Yuanjun looked at Jiang Huifeng as if he saw a fool. First, all companies' contracts are the same. If she does not come to work within 3 days, then it means she leaves automatically. Second, I remember you said Liang Zixuan is Wei Xiaoqing's makeup artist. She came to Han Group Media for an interview as a musician, so the law isn't binding on her at all. Even if there is, I can make it into nothing. Jiang Huifeng was so angry that her face was twisted. This Han Yuanjun was simply arrogant and conceited. He's going too far. It seemed that the matter of Liang Zixuan working at Han Group Media couldn't be stopped anymore. So Jiang Huifeng had to get something for Wei Xiaoqing as well. Jiang Huifeng put her hand on her hip, and the aristocratic woman's attitude disappeared. She was just like a shrewd woman in a market, domineering and unreasonable. Since that's the case, as compensation, you will let Xiaoqing act as the female lead in Girl of the Rose. I won't argue with you about Liang Zixuan anymore. What kind of face did she have to say words like that? Even Zhu Sheng couldn't help but wanted to scold her. What kind of person was this? How dare they compete with Qin Yu for the lead role? Was this what Wei Xiaoqing and her mother were like? The other colleagues in the office couldn't help but sneer in disdain. However, Jiang Huifeng didn't notice it and confidently said, This movie originally belonged to Xiaoqing, and we're only trying to get back what belongs to her. Besides, Xiaoqing is also in the first year of film school. She has good looks, and if she takes part in this movie will definitely be very popular. Han Yuanjun rolled his eyes at her and shifted his gaze to Shi Tianjian. Bring the security guards here and chase them out. Jiang Huifeng was immediately frightened and shrank her neck back. She grabbed Wei Xiaoqing's hand and left the place gloomily. Today, they really lost a lot of faces. Not only did they not get something good, they even almost got kicked out. After leaving the Han Group media area, Wei Xiaoqing pulled Jiang Huifeng's hand, almost crying, "Mom, Liang Zixuan came to Han Group. What should we do now?" If she started singing, then everyone would know that I was fake. This was the biggest knot in Wei Xiaoqing's and Jiang Huifeng's hearts. They never thought that Liang Zixuan would actually find a job, and she even worked as a musician at Han Group Media. It's a good thing they knew about it today. Otherwise, they will not know what the situation will be like. They even originally thought that Liang Zixuan would never get a job. Don't worry, I will figure out a way for you. We can't do anything to her in Han Group Media, but I don't believe that she will be able to escape from me once she's out of here. Even if she can't, there's still Wei Guowei. He was Liang Zixuan's father, and their relationship was different with Jiang Huifeng, her stepmother. After Han Yuanjun left, Liang Zixuan could only sit on the couch obediently without moving. The office was large, about 30 square meters in size. On either side, there were bookshelves pinned to the wall. In addition to the couch, there was also a small bar next to it. Liang Zixuan was not interested in drinking alcohol. At first, she wanted to go to the bookshelf to pick up books to spend time. But since this was Han Yuanjuan's office, she didn't dare to do that, afraid that she might ruin something important. As she waited, the office door suddenly opened. Liang Zixuan thought that Han Yuanjun had returned. She immediately turned around and saw a woman in business attire with heavy makeup come in with a cup of coffee in her hand. Seeing her, the woman's face sank as she quickly asked, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" The expression, the tone, was as if she was the owner of this office. Liang Zixuan just chuckled without saying anything. She felt like she was too much of a joke, as if whenever everyone saw her for the first time, they would not be happy. However, she still replied politely, "I'm Liang Zixuan. I finished my interview and will now be a member of the Han Group Media. It was the president who asked me to wait for him here. So, she's just a regular worker." Yu Lian scoffed in her heart. In Han Group Media, there were many women who wanted to take the opportunity to get to know Han Yuanjun. Even his secretary was no exception. Naturally, she also treated Liang Zixuan as any shameless woman. With one hand holding a cup of coffee and the other pointing to the door, Yu Lian arrogantly said, "Get out of here." Liang Zixuan was not someone who was easily bullied. She raised her head and looked at Yu Lian while sitting there on the couch steadily, like MT Tai. "The president told me to wait for him here. I can't go anywhere. Should I listen to you or the president?" Yu Lian was so angry that her face turned green. This damn woman actually dared to use Han Yuanjun to pressure her. She didn't believe Han Yuanjun would let Liang Zixuan wait for him in the office. There were a lot of confidential documents in the office. Even though the person was the company's top echelon, no one would dare sit in his office if he wasn't there. Han Yuanjun had a rule. His cup of coffee should change every hour. It didn't matter whether there were people in the office or not. The cup must be placed on the table for him to drink at all times. That's why Yu Lian was able to get in and out of the president's office freely. Yu Lian relied on this confidence to show her strength in front of Liang Zixuan. "Are you trying to fool a ghost? Will the president let you wait for him here? You better leave now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you." Liang Zixuan was so angry that she laughed. Did she have a face that deserved a beating? Why did everyone want to be rude to her? Threaten her? The thing Liang Zixuan hated the most was being threatened. Did they really think that she was made of glass, so they could bully her easily? She looked at the cup of coffee held by Yu Lian. Liang Zixuan slowly put her hands on the couch, ready to get up at any moment. "What can you do to me?" "Shameless." Yu Lian's face turned red. She lifted the coffee cup in her hand and was about to throw it into Liang Zishuan's face. Liang Zishuan's gaze turned cold as she suddenly stood up. Yu Yin was shocked, and before she could react, Liang Zishuan slapped the coffee cup. An entire cup of scorching hot coffee was poured into Yu Yin's face. Ah! Yu Yin screamed like a pig as she was charred. The coffee cup fell to the floor and shattered. Yu Yin stomped her feet in pain as she tried to touch her face. However, when her fingers touched her skin, the pain caused her face to contort. Her screams drew 3 others from the secretary's office. The crowd looked at Yu Yin's red face, then at the coffee cup on the floor, and understood what had happened. Liang Zishuan was brought in by Han Yuanjun. They all knew that Yu Yin went to the break room to make coffee, so she didn't see her. Usually, Yu Yin relied on her beauty to be superior to others and did not put them in her eyes. And right now, no one was interested in comforting her. Yu Yin saw that no one was helping her, so she stomped her foot in annoyance. What are you standing here for? My face is already in pain. Why don't you quickly find a president for me? Finding the president? Must you find the president just for this small thing? Did Yu Yin really think of herself as gold? The 3 of them just stood there, but no one called Han Yuanjun. One of them looked at Yu Yin's face and said without expression, "Hurry to the hospital and get the treatment. Who knows, if you wait even longer, your face will be disfigured." How can Yu Yin leave just like that? She still wanted to tell Han Yuanjun about Liang Zishuan. Furthermore, she was injured in order to help Han Yuanjun chase out the outsiders. At that time, he would definitely be on her side. By taking advantage of this opportunity, she may be able to improve her relationship with him. Thinking about this, Yu Yin angrily took out her phone and prepared to call Han Yuanjun. She then glared at Liang Zishuan. "Just you wait. When the president comes, you will get your retribution." Her tone of voice sounded as if Han Yuanjun would be on her side. As she called the number, his cell phone suddenly rang outside the door. The next second, a man entered. Han Yuanjun saw chaos in his office, especially when Liang Zishuan stood on the side with 4 women standing opposite her. No matter how he looked, it appeared as she was surrounded and was being attacked by 4 women. His face immediately darkened when he coldly asked, "What's wrong?" He looked at Liang Zishuan and asked, clearly wanting her to answer. However, she just stood there with a grim face, not saying a word. Yu Yin hung up the phone and immediately stood in front of Han Yuanjun. She blinked hard and letting out 2 drops of tears and said while feeling wronged, "President Han, you weren't here a moment ago, but this woman actually dared to look at your stuff in your office. I told her to leave, but not only did she not listen, she even threw coffee at me." Yu Yin pointed to her own face. "Look at my face. It hurts." She tried to appear as a delicate girl and then pretended to fall into Han Yuanjun's embrace. Yu Yin's face was so funny now. She couldn't see her face, but when she was splashed with coffee, half of the powder on her face had fallen off. She then subconsciously wiped her eyes, causing the eyeliner to smudge, making it look like panda eyes. However, she still wanted to put her face in front of Han Yuanjun. Han Yuanjun was too lazy to look at her. When she fell into his embrace, he moved away and pushed her to the side without showing mercy. "If you're injured, go to the hospital. Don't stay here." Yu Yin looked at Han Yuanjun with her eyes wide open in disbelief. She never expected that he would treat her so coldly. She was very unhappy and asked while pointing at Liang Zishuan, "What about this woman? She hurts me." Liang Zishuan looked at her coldly and pursed her lips in mockery. Han Yuanjun became increasingly impatient. "She's staying here. Why did you chase her away?" Yu Yin's expression was as if she was choking on something, and after so long she finally spoke. "She's still wandering around the office and even touching your things. If you don't believe me, ask Su Yong and the others." Yu Yin couldn't believe that Han Yuanjun told Liang Zishuan to wait for him in the office. Su Yong and the other 2 were already sweating while hearing this. Looking at Han Yuanjun's expression now, it was clear that he had something with Liang Zishuan. Still, Yu Yin was so blind with her jealousy, so she couldn't see it. Even if she saw it, she would be seething in anger. Suyong quickly said on behalf of the others. No, we don't know anything. We heard Yulian screaming and went here take a look. With one sentence, she severed all ties with Yulian. Yulian looked at her angrily. Why are you talking about? Han Yuanjun turned around and looked at Yulian. I told her to wait for me here. Who gave you the guts to kick her out? Yulian's face and ears turned red. She was so shocked that she could not speak. Han Yuanjun looked at her coldly, then shifted his gaze to Liang Zishuan's face. In the future, without my permission, no one is allowed to enter my office. No one is an exception. Yulian's privilege to have free access to the president's office was taken away immediately. Seeing how angry she was and how she could only stare at Han Yuanjun, Liang Zishuan couldn't help but wanted to laugh. Yulian was so angry that she wanted to go towards her and beat her. Han Yuanjun shouted coldly, What are you all still standing here for? Hurry up and clean this mess. Su Yong and the others immediately came out and brought a mop and a broom. They swept the broken coffee cup on the floor and then went out. Yulian was so angry that she wanted to leave. Han Yuanjun suddenly called out to her, Yulian. Yulian thought that Han Yuanjun was done with his anger. Thinking that he was trying to calm her down, she immediately turned around and said with a coquettish smile, President Han. However, Han Yuanjun didn't even look at her. The compensation for that cup will be deducted from your salary. You can leave now. What? A smile on Yulian's face immediately turned stiff. She was looking as if she had eaten rotten fruit. The cup was worth $2,000, and it will be deducted from her salary? But she wasn't the one who broke it. Puff! Liang Zishuan couldn't take it anymore. She didn't even try to hold back her laughter. Han Yuanjun was simply too evil. When Yulian heard Liang Zishuan's laughter, her already ugly face became even more twisted. She looked at Han Yuanjun with unwillingness but didn't say anything. She then glanced at Liang Zishuan once again before walking out with a wronged expression. The office immediately turned quiet. When Suyong left, she deliberately closed the office door. Now, only Han Yuanjun and Liang Zishuan remained. Han Yuanjun walked in front of her, grabbed her hand gently, and examined it. Did you get hit? He didn't care about Yulian's face, but he cared about her hands? Liang Zishuan couldn't hold back her laughter. I'm fine. The one who hurts is your favorite secretary. Aren't you worried about her? Favorite secretary? What the hell? Han Yuanjun immediately frowned. Why would I care about her? You can imagine how hot that cup of coffee was. He paused for a moment, then suddenly asked gently, Are you sure you're not hurt? Liang Zishuan calmly pulled her hand back and shook her head. Of course not. How can I allow myself to be wrong? She had suffered all sorts of grievances in her previous life, so she would definitely not let herself suffer anymore in this life. Han Yuanjun smiled in relief. Looking at her stern face, he couldn't help but rub her head. If you ever encounter such things again, if I'm not here, you can teach them a lesson. No matter how big the problem, I will stand behind you. Liang Zishuan pushed his hand away awkwardly and took a step back. I'm not a criminal. If no one dares to offend me, I won't take the initiative to cause trouble for others either. I know. Han Yuanjun didn't care about her purposely distancing herself. He pushed her onto the couch and sat down. Then he walked to the opposite desk and sat down. Thinking of Jiang Huifeng and Wei Xiaoqing, Liang Zishuan immediately asked, How did you deal with Jiang Huifeng and Wei Xiaoqing? Han Yuanjun said cheerfully, I handled them easily. I wanted to ask the security guards to chase them out, but they both ran away with their tails between their legs. Liang Zishuan laughed out loud. For some reason, she imagined Jiang Huifeng pulling Wei Xiaoqing's hand and running away with their tails between their legs. Such a rare sight. Jiang Huifeng was an arrogant woman with a nose high to the top of her head. But today, she was insulted by Han Yuanjun. Serve her right. Liang Zishuan had no sympathy for them at all. Instead, she felt very happy. After she finished laughing, she sincerely said, Thank you. Han Yuanjun bit his lower lip. His originally sharp eyes suddenly turned deep, and when Liang Zishuan's eyes met his, it was as if a net was thrown towards her. Liang Zishuan sat there, stunned. For no reason whatsoever, She had fallen into his deep eyes and was unable to get out no matter how hard she tried. Han Yuan-jun grinned, then suddenly laughed. Do you know, every time I hear you say thank you, I wanted to kiss you. Liang Zixuan. Didn't he just say that her heart-wrenching appearance made him want to kiss her? Now, he said he wanted to kiss her too when she was thankful to him? Liang Zixuan wanted to say, we've only known each other for 3 days, yet I've been kissed by you a few times. Since when do you not want to kiss me? No, she must change his way. She was only silently cursing, but who knows that she actually said it out loud. Han Yuan-jun suddenly squinted his eyes. How are you going to change it? Liang Zixuan looked at him blankly. Suddenly, she felt very awkward. What must she do? Han Yuan-jun was too shameless. Someone suddenly knocked on the office door from outside, and Yao Xiu's respectful voice could be heard. President Han, it's me. Han Yuan-jun retracted the emotion on his face and said expressionlessly, come in. Yao Xiu opened the door and entered. He glanced at Liang Zixuan, who was sitting on the couch, then walked over to the table and handed the contract to Han Yuan-jun. The contract has been finalized. President Han, please take a look. If there's no problem, you can let Liang Zixuan sign it. Han Yuan-jun took the contract and opened it. He really read Liang Zixuan's labor contract seriously, especially after he saw that the year the contract had changed to 20 years and that the contract could only be revoked by him alone. Liang Zixuan couldn't break free from the contract alone. Seeing this, he smiled contentedly. Putting the contract on the table, he smiled, you can sign it now. Liang Zixuan slowly took the contract and read it. She mainly looked at the ownership of the work and didn't pay much attention to anything else. After finishing reading, she looked up and asked Han Yuan-jun, what about the salary aspect? Han Yuan-jun replied seriously, the song you wrote has been officially included in Qin Yu's album, so you don't have to go through the probationary period and you're already an official staff member. I will give you a salary of 21,000 yuan, plus the album commission. In the future, if you write another song, I'll give you a commission according to the number of downloads. These are all in the contract. Liang Zixuan just wanted to ask about the salary. After all, an album was not something that can be prepared in the blink of an eye. She needed a salary to sustain her and her grandmother's lives now. All right then. Thank you, President Han. Seeing Han Yuan-jun's gaze go dark again, Liang Zixuan immediately remembered what he had just said. Her heart skipped a beat as she immediately changed the topic. When can I sign a contract? Han Yuan-jun smiled without saying a word. He took out his pen and handed it to her. You can sign it now. I'll give you your salary today. So early? She just officially entered Han Group Media today and received her salary on the same day. Liang Zixuan had a nagging feeling that Han Yuan-jun was in too much of a hurry to get her into the job. Just as she said that she would work at Han Group Media, he asked Zhu Sheng to call her and interview her the next day. After the interview was over, she signed a contract and received her salary on the same day. Was Han Yuan-jun afraid that she would run away or that she would regret it? Was he trying to set a trap for her? Liang Zixuan looked at Han Yuan-jun hesitantly. She didn't accept the pen, but looked at the contract again. In the end, she finally found the problem. Why can't I cancel the contract unilaterally? Han Yuan-jun raised his eyebrow. Of course you can't. After Han Group Media spent their effort to nurture you, if other people spend a lot of money to hunt you down, you can't resist the temptation, aren't you? If that happens, wouldn't I lose a lot? What he said makes sense. Yao Xiu couldn't help but be impressed. Han Yuan-jun was seriously talking nonsense. But why did he look so handsome while doing so? Right now, Liang Zixuan looked like a little white rabbit that will not be able to escape the clutches of the old fox. Of course, Liang Zixuan also felt that Han Yuan-jun's excuse made sense. She took the pen from his hand and signed her name. Yao Xiu immediately issued another copy and asked her to sign it again. Han Yuan-jun watched as Liang Zixuan finished signing and immediately said to Yao Xiu, "Go help her manage her job. Give the employee card to her." Yao Xiu and Liang Zixuan looked at Han Yuan-jun with blank faces. They had never seen someone so impatient. Yao Xiu quickly said yes and planned to leave with the contract. Han Yuan-jun suddenly thought of something and called out to him, "Yao Xiu, wait a minute." Yao Xiu immediately turned around. Yes, President Han. Han Yuanjun tapped his desk with his finger. How long has it been since you managed the people in the secretary's office? Yao Xiao was stunned. He didn't know why Han Yuanjun suddenly asked about the secretarial department. He then replied with a confused expression. I observe them every day. Han Yuanjun's finger that was tapping the desk suddenly stopped. You keep an eye out for them every day. How can they be so presumptuous in my office? Yao Xiao's heart was violently shocked by those words. He lowered his head, not daring to speak. Han Yuanjun waved his hand impatiently. Go out and give the people in the secretary's office a warning. How dare they command an order without my permission? Yao Xiao immediately nodded. Understood, President. With that, he went to the secretary's office with a dark expression, letting him be taught a lesson by Han Yuanjun. This bunch of women could forget about getting even with him. When Su Yong and the rest saw Yao Xiao walking in with a gloomy face, they all felt that something was wrong and immediately stood up. Assistant Yao. Yao Xiao looked around and finally saw Yu Lian's face. He asked coldly, what happened? Yu Lian originally wanted to say it herself, but Su Yong was afraid that she would add more fuel to the fire by spouting nonsense. So Su Yong, rushed to tell what happened earlier to Yao Xiao. After Yao Xiao heard this, his face fell. He had to be respectful to Liang Zishuan. How dare you Lian chase Liang Zishuan away? No wonder he was taught a lesson by Han Yuanjun. He became a scapegoat because of that foolish woman. The pressure was heavy enough, so heavy that he couldn't breathe. Thus, all the anger in his heart was directed at Yu Lian. Did a donkey kick your head? Do you think Liang Zishuan is so foolish to enter the president's office without his consent? Can you please have more brains? In Han Group Media, who do you think has the courage to do so? Or do you really think just because you're the president's secretary, you have all the privileges? Yao Xiao was Han Yuanjuan's special assistant. He managed the entire secretary's department and was Yu Lian's senior chief. Scolded by Yao Xiao in such a way, Yu Lian didn't even dare to protest. She lowered her head and gritted her teeth. I don't dare. Yao Xiao slammed the table in anger and pointed at Yu Lian. How dare you? You pig of a brain. How could a smart person like Liang Zishuan make such a low-level mistake? Seeing all of them look down and not daring to speak, Yao Xiao's anger almost disappeared. The president has spoken. He wants all of you to do your job. Don't think of useless things all day, and don't all of you dare to make any decisions without his permission. Yu Lian just watched Yao Xiao's leaving figure angrily. Her hands clenched tightly while she gritting her teeth in anger. It was clear that I was splashed with coffee, but instead of defending me, President Han decided to cut my salary, and now I am being scolded directly by Assistant Yao. How can Liang Zishuan be so cheap? Su Yong and the other two were implicated for no reason, so they were furious after being scolded by Yao Xiao. Hearing Yu Lian's words, Su Yong snappily said, You were the one who asked for trouble. Can you blame anyone else? In the future, if you want to be a scumbag, don't drag us along. We are here to do our job. What she said was right. Wasn't it Yu Lian's fault? Did she really think that all the women wanted to climb onto Han Yuanjuan's bed like her? The other two also began to complain about Yu Lian. Yu Lian was so angry that she threw her chair. It's fine if you don't help me, but now you're still defending that bitch and scolding me? Su Yong snorted coldly. I advise you to think carefully and open your eyes wide. Don't provoke Liang Zishuan again. Isn't it better to work in peace? Yu Lian spat to the ground, pointed her finger at the sky, and swore, I'll put my words here today. If I can't kick Liang Zishuan out of the company within a month, then I'll leave on my own. She couldn't swallow her anger today. She just wanted to show Liang Zishuan who had the advantage. As Han Yuanjuan's secretaries, besides Yao Xiao, they were the people closest to the president. Yu Lian was so sure that she could kick Liang Zishuan out. Su Yong and the others rolled their eyes at her stupidity and ignored her. Look at what she said. Did Yu Lian really think that she was Han Yuanjuan's woman? She was nothing to him, and now here she was talking like she was his wife. TSK, and even wanted to kick Liang Zishuan out of the company? They wanted to see if Yu Lian had the ability. In the president's office, Liang Zixuan felt a chill run down her spine, as if a cold wind was blowing around her. Han Yuanjun saw her rubbing her arms and asked with concern, "Are you cold?" Liang Zixuan shook her head. No, she did not feel cold, but she felt as if a demonic wind was blowing into her body. She couldn't say that to Han Yuanjun. Otherwise, he would be laughing at her for being so suspicious. Back to the topic just now. Han Yuanjun then said, "I heard you have already rented a house. Shouldn't you invite me to take a look?" Huh? Liang Zixuan smiled awkwardly. It's not like I'm buying a house or anything. I'm just renting a house. Why buy a house in the future? I'll ask the president to come." Not only was Han Yuanjun not angry, but he was also a bit happy. By hearing Liang Zixuan's words, it seemed like their relationship was getting closer. After all, wanting to buy a home in Imperial City was not something that could be done in a day or two. Maybe in a few years, but right now, she can't afford it. Han Yuanjun asked again, "Where's grandmother? Is she used to the new house?" Did he have to say it so affectionately? If others were to hear about it, who knew what they would think about their relationship? Liang Zixuan felt so embarrassed as she quietly blushed. "She's fine. After all, we just moved in today." "Oh." Han Yuanju nodded. "When I have time, I'll go see grandmother." Liang Zixuan forced a laugh. She felt as if she had lost all of her brain cells simply by conversing with him. "President Han, you must be very busy, so there's no need for that. I could take care of my grandmother myself." Han Yuanjun narrowed his eyes. "You don't seem to welcome me." Even though Liang Zixuan thought about this in her heart, she didn't dare say it out loud. She then laughed awkwardly. No, how could I not welcome you?" "All right then." Han Yuanjun immediately decided. "This Saturday, I have time, and coincidentally, I'm not busy. When the time comes, I'll go see Grandma. You have to prepare food for me. That bowl of beef noodles from the last time didn't count. This time, you need to cook for me personally. I have helped you a lot, so consider this as my thank you gift." What else could she say? Now, she really didn't dare to say the word thank you. Otherwise, he would kiss her again. Liang Zixuan smiled coyly. "Sure." Yao Xiao knocked on the office door. After getting Han Yuanju's consent, he pushed open the door and walked in. Then he handed the employee card to Liang Zixuan and explained patiently, "When you wear this when you come to the company tomorrow, no one will stop you." Liang Zixuan took the card. Yao Xiao then said, "I have already informed Zhu Shang. Tomorrow, you can go straight to the 18th floor. He will arrange a studio for you and even give you an assistant. He will also introduce you to other colleagues in the department." Han Yuanjun didn't need to say anything about this. Yao Xiao had finished all of them for him. Liang Zixuan stood up and politely thanked Yao Xiao. "I'm sorry for troubling you, Special Assistant Yao. Thank you for your help." Yao Xiao immediately felt flattered. "There's no need to thank me. It's just a small matter." Liang Zixuan looked at him suspiciously. Was everyone close to Han Yuanjun so respectful? A good person, too? He even went through the admission procedures for her, an ordinary staff member. Was he usually not busy? Under her probing gaze, Yao Xiao straightened his back. He felt that Liang Zixuan was appreciating him. If he could get the president's wife to admire him, then shouldn't his position as special assistant for the president be permanent? Han Yuanjun saw that Liang Zixuan had been staring at Yao Xiao for a while, and he was annoyed. "Yao Xiao, if you have nothing else to say, get back to work." Yao Xiao turned around and immediately saw Han Yuanjun's cold expression. His heart trembled as he immediately nodded his head. Then, he ran away as fast as he could. As he walked out of the office, he patted his chest and said, "Thank goodness I ran fast." How could he have forgotten that just now when he was in the conference room? When Han Yuanjun saw Zhu Sheng slapping Liang Zixuan's shoulder, the look in his eyes showing that he wanted to kick Zhu Sheng out. Han Yuanjuan's jealousy was so intense. Yao Xiao needed to be more careful in the future. Back to the president's office. Liang Zixuan put her employee card around her neck. "President Han, since the job interview has ended, I'll go back first. I'll come to work tomorrow." Han Yuanjun looked at his watch. "There's still an hour left. I'll be getting off work too. I'll send you there then." He sent her. Liang Zixuan didn't dare to sit in his car anymore. When she came to the interview today, there were already a lot of people who didn't her. Then, if she sat in Han Yuanjuan's car, she didn't think she would survive anymore. No, it's fine. Liang Zixuan immediately refused. You are so busy, so I won't trouble you. This place is very close to my home. I'll be there by subway very soon. I also plan to buy some daily necessities from the supermarket. Unexpectedly, Han Yuanjun turned off his computer. I'm not busy today. Coincidentally, I'm going to go to the supermarket to buy some stuff too. It just so happens that it's along the way. Liang Zixuan really wanted to fiercely refuse. What should she do? Oh God, who will save her? The heavens seemed to hear her call. At this moment, Han Yuanjuan's phone rang. He took out his cell phone and answered it in front of her. Grandmother. The old grandmother's unrestrained voice came over the phone. You brat. If you don't come back today, then don't ever come back to see me again. Han Yuanjun glanced at Liang Zixuan, and his face quickly turned red. He actually went to the window with his cell phone and quietly talked on the phone. Liang Zixuan suppressed her laughter as she looked at his back with a gentle gaze. Although she could not hear clearly what he was saying, his low voice was inexplicably gentle. A man who understood filial piety usually had a good character. After the call ended, Han Yuanjun turned around and said apologetically, Sorry, there's something I need to do at home. Liang Zixuan quickly waved her hands. It's okay, President Han. You're busy. I can go back on my own. Luckily, there was something stopping him. Otherwise, Liang Zixuan didn't know how to reject his offer. Liang Zixuan really didn't lie. After she left Han Group Media, she did go to the supermarket first and bought all the daily necessities for her grandmother and herself. She also bought 2 pajamas. Arriving home, as soon as Luo Yinyan saw her hands full of plastic bags, she quickly got up to help her. Liang Zixuan quickly avoided her hand. Grandma, you just sit there. I can do it myself. Luo Yinyan followed her the whole time, watching her put those things in order. For the first time in many years, she felt like she had a home. This was her house with her beloved granddaughter. It felt good. Although in the nursing home, there was someone in charge of her food and drink, but those people were always changing. None of them wanted to chat with her. Even if there were other old people in the nursing home accompanying her, she still felt empty inside. Nothing can replace kinship. Grandmother, if there's anything else you need, tell me and I'll go buy it. Liang Zixuan said while putting the items away. Luo Yinyan looked at her with a smile, but did not say anything. After finishing sorting those items, Liang Zixuan pulled Luo Yinyan to sit on the couch. She took out 2,000 yuan from her wallet and handed them to Luo Yinyan. Grandmother, take this money. I will not be home during noon, so if you want to eat or need something, then buy it. Don't treat yourself unfairly. Luo Yinyan knew that Liang Zixuan didn't have much money on her, so she pushed the money back to her. I have money, though not much. I still have a few hundred yuan. I have enough to eat. Grandmother. Liang Zixuan grabbed Luo Yinyan's hand and solemnly placed the money on her palm. I found a job today. Next month, I'll be paid. Liang Zixuan's heart ached when she thought about how her grandmother died after being chased out of the nursing home and having no one to take care of her. She grabbed Luo Yinyan's hand and rested her head on her, Luo Yinyan, shoulder. Her eyes were red with sadness. I will definitely take good care of you. Grandmother, you can buy whatever you want to eat. Don't refuse to spend the money. I promise that in the future, I would definitely let you live a good life. I will work hard. Luo Yinyan patted Liang Zixuan's hand and smiled contentedly. Her granddaughter was very filial, making her happy more than anything else. Even though Luo Yinyan wouldn't use that money, she could still save it for Liang Zixuan. The next day, Liang Zixuan woke up early. When she went to the supermarket yesterday, she bought some cosmetic items. Thinking of Zhu Sheng and Shi Tianjian's disdainful gaze on her, Liang Zixuan put on some makeup today. It was not a heavy makeup type, just a BB cream, eyeliner, and lip gloss to make herself look good. She also wore clothes bought by Han Yuanjun. She left early because she didn't want to make HR people wait for her. However, when she arrived, no one from the HR department was there. Liang Zixuan checked on the time. 15 minutes to 9. She stood against the wall and waited patiently. Han Group Media's employees walked past her one by one. Liang Zixuan waited until 9:20. The staff, who was rumored to be waiting for her, had yet to arrive. At this moment, her cell phone rang. It was an office number. Liang Zixuan immediately answered the call. Shi Tianjin's impatient voice came out of the phone. Liang Zixuan, what happened to you? Why haven't you arrived at the company yet? Are you going to be late on your first day? Even though Shi Tianjin's attitude towards Liang Zixuan yesterday wasn't very good, it wasn't to the extent that she was disgusted by her until now. Liang Zixuan was confused, but she continued to explain, I came here earlier. I'm at the company, but the HR hasn't arrived yet. Since the HR hasn't come, can't you think of a way yourself? Call them. Shi Tianjin hung up the phone in an unfriendly tone. Liang Zixuan wanted to say that she had just arrived and didn't know anyone from HR. So, who was she supposed to call? After thinking for a while, she decided to walk to the front desk and ask for the HR number. At that moment, Yao Xiu walked out of the elevator. When he saw her, he was surprised. Why haven't you joined the company yet? Liang Zixuan smiled awkwardly. The HR staff haven't arrived yet. What? Yao Xiu's face immediately darkened. He immediately took out his phone. Wait a minute, I'll make a call. Liang Zixuan stood there and watched him call someone. Soon, a woman walked out of the elevator with a straight face. When she saw Yao Xiu, her expression improved. Yao Xiu said sullenly, Can you do your job properly? Do you want me to invite you myself? Hurry up. Take her to the department. The woman glared at Liang Zixuan. Liang Zixuan, if anything happens in the future, call me. I'll help you deal with it, Yao Xiu said while smiling at her. Liang Zixuan could clearly see the woman's disdainful gaze. She smiled indifferently. All right, I understand. Thank you for your help today. No need to thank me. With that, Yao Xiu left in a hurry. Liang Zixuan finished punching her work card and went up to the elevator with the woman. Seeing that there was no one else around, the woman glared at her. What's the big deal? You actually went as Special Assistant Yao Xiu to report me. Liang Zixuan speechlessly rolled her eyes. I didn't complain. I just happened to meet him there. Come on, the woman sneered. Do you think I don't know you? Aren't you the one who got her boyfriend stolen by Wei Xiaoqing? What? Now that you've reached Han Group Media, you plan to climb on President Han's bed? The woman laughed again. Wei Xiaoqing's boyfriend doesn't like you, so you come here to hook up with the president? I say, Liang Zixuan, what is your family like? Can you not live without a man? Liang Zixuan never thought that she would be slandered like this on the first day she came to Han Group Media. She looked at the ID tag on the woman's chest and said with a mocking smile, I will remember you. When Shunwan heard this, she immediately covered her ID and looked at Liang Zixuan in surprise. Why would you remember me? Liang Zixuan raised her eyebrow. I just arrived at the company today, and I heard you slander me. If these words are spread all over Han Group Media, then I would think that you spread them. I remember Special Assistant Ya telling me to call him if there is anything I needed. If I say you're the one who spread the rumors and that you have damaged my reputation, what will he do? Shenwan's scalp tingled with shock. Luckily, they had reached the floor. Shenwan glared at Liang Zixuan before stomping out. She didn't even dare to say those harsh words in front of her anymore. When they reached the 18th floor, Liang Zixuan walked straight to Shi Tianjin's desk. When Shi Tianjin saw her, she glared at her with disgust. The department meeting starts at 10 o'clock. You're only here now. There's still 15 minutes left. I don't even have enough time to tell you about the situation. Liang Zixuan was so infuriated that she started laughing. All of these people were not nice to her. Why did I come so late? I've already explained it to you. I'm very curious. We just met yesterday. Why do I feel that you're hostile towards me, as if you're intentionally targeting me? Shi Tianjin sneered. Don't think that I don't know what kind of person you are. Yesterday, Yu Lian had spread the rumors that Liang Zixuan bullied her. She was crying as she spoke. She even sent a picture of her burnt face. Originally, Shi Tianjin only felt disdain towards Liang Zixuan. However, after hearing Yu Lian's words, she really lost her good impression of Liang Zixuan. Not only did Yu Lian said that Liang Zixuan hurt her, but she also said that Liang Zishuan plotting something against the president. She didn't even let Yao Xiu off the hook and would hook up with any man she saw. In Han Group media, there were actually a number of women like this. Liang Zishuan's first impression was not so good when she first arrived, and with the addition of Wei Xiaoqing's and Jiang Huifang's interference, everyone's impression of her became the worst. Sure, Tianjin and Yu Lian had chatted with Liang Zishuan, so everyone in the company believed their words. That was why Shan Wan was so animosity towards Liang Zishuan. Liang Zishuan chuckled slightly. What kind of person am I? Sure, Tianjin looked at her coldly and scoffed. Didn't you want to take the opportunity to become a phoenix by entering Han Group media? Liang Zishuan, let me tell you, not to mention you don't have looks. Even if you are a very beautiful woman, there is no man in this company who will fall in love with you. Thinking about what Shi Tianjian had said, Liang Zishuan immediately found the culprit. It was not Shenwan, because before today, Liang Zishuan didn't even know her, and it was not Shi Tianjian either. She did not offend Shi Tianjian. In Han Group media, she only offended one person. Yu Lian. Liang Zishuan hid her thoughts and asked seriously, Shi Tianjian, yesterday I saw you sneaking into Director Zhu's office looking for something. What are you looking for? Shi Tianjian was stunned for a moment. Seeing her colleagues looking at her, she hurriedly explained in panic, I did not. I did go inside Director Zhu's office, but I'm his secretary. Isn't it normal for me to go into his office to pick up something? Why did you say I was sneaking around? Liang Zishuan narrowed her eyes. But I just saw you sneaking around. You're trying so hard to deny it. Are you afraid of being accused as a thief? Bullshit. Shi Tianjian had completely disregarded the image that she had painstakingly built up and actually cursed her. How could she not be anxious when she was accused of being a thief? If other people really believed Liang Zishuan's words and told Zhu Sheng about it, how could she be his secretary in the future? She might even lose her job. I didn't check Director Zhu's stuff. I just wanted to take what he told me to take. Why are you so cheap, Liang Zishuan? How could you just randomly accusing someone? Shi Tianjian was really anxious. Liang Zishuan looked at Shi Tianjian, who had been angered to the point of baring her fangs and brandishing her claws. She seemed as if she could not wait to slap Liang Zishuan in the face. Liang Zishuan's hands were crossed over her chest as she laughed out loud. Seeing that she was actually still mocking her, Shi Tianjian was so angry. She picked up the folder on her desk and hit Liang Zishuan angrily. Liang Zishuan quickly took a step back and easily avoided the attack. She turned around and looked at all the staff who were watching the show. I just said that Shi Tianjian secretly went to Director Zhu's office to look for things. Did you all see it? They all kept their mouths shut, but the way they looked at Shi Tianjian was clearly different. Liang Zishuan, shut up. Shi Tianjian was so angry that she screamed, You bitch! If you continue to slander me, don't blame me for being rude to you. Huh? Liang Zishuan let out a faint laugh and said unhurriedly, I was indeed slandering you just now. I was just here for an interview yesterday. I didn't stay here for long. How could I see you sneaking around Director Zhu's things? Shi Tianjian was momentarily stunned. She was too angry just now, so she had neglected this most important point. Liang Zishuan continued, Similarly, I just arrived at Han Group Media yesterday, and after finishing the interview, I went to the president's office. The president suddenly had something to do and wanted me to wait for him in the office, but Yu Lian came in and wanted to kick me out. Shi Tianjian's face stiffened. She thought to herself, why does this bitch Yu Lian saying something very different from what Liang Zishuan said? Liang Zishuan smiled. When the president came back, I happened to meet him. If I was wrong about this matter, do you think I could still come to work today? Yu Lian's face was clearly burnt. So why did the money for the cup deducted from her salary? I guess you must be able to guess the answer yourself. At this moment, Shi Tianjian finally understood that Yu Lian had used her as a gun and used her to get on Liang Zishuan's nerves. Shi Tianjian had been slapped in the face by Liang Zishuan for no reason at all. With a flushed face, Shi Tianjian bit her lower lip and looked at Liang Zishuan, unable to utter a word. Liang Zishuan shook her head. Words should be feared. If you didn't see it with your own eyes, you would judge a person's character just by other people's words, right? Seeing that Shi Tianjian was silent, Liang Zixuan's face suddenly darkened, saying word by word, "I'm not a saint, and I'm not a white lotus. I just returned the favor back to you, and for you to wrongly accuse me just now, you must be feeling terrible, right? It was just to teach Shi Tianjian a lesson. If Liang Zixuan really wanted to slander her, she wouldn't have to admit later that she had slandered him." Shi Tianjian finally understood that Liang Zixuan was not someone she could offend. She was no match for her. Liang Zixuan's words just now had driven her crazy. If she played dirty, wouldn't she swallow her bones? Looking at Liang Zixuan's outfit today, she was not wearing the same clothes she wore yesterday. All the clothes she wore were more expensive than the clothes Shi Tianjian wore. Since Shi Tianjian didn't know what kind of trick Liang Zixuan was playing, she didn't dare to act rashly in front of her again. At this moment, Zhu Sheng walked out of the office. Seeing that the girls were still standing there, he urged them, "What are you standing here for? Let's get this meeting started." Shi Tianjian immediately carried her folder and followed him. Even though she didn't admit her inferiority to Liang Zixuan, but her face clearly showed it. Yao Xiu walked into the president's office after finishing his work. Han Yuanjun looked up. Liang Zixuan didn't come late to the meeting, did she? Nope. Yao Xiu licked his lips and carefully looked at him. I want to check on her. Yu Lian said something bad about her to everyone yesterday, so Liang Zixuan was ignored by the HR staff this morning. I don't think her job will go smoothly now. Han Yuanjun's face sank. Yu Lian? What did she say? Yao Xiu took a deep breath before saying, She said that Liang Zixuan went to your office without your permission and wanted to take advantage of her job. He didn't dare tell Han Yuanjun about how Yu Lian accused Liang Zixuan of seducing him. He wanted to remain in his job. He wanted to work King hard for a few more years. This Yu Lian was so stupid. What did she mean by bringing him down as well? Sure enough, once Han Yuanjun finished listening, not only was he not angry, he also looked a little happy. He put down the pen in his hand and stood up. Chini doesn't have class this morning, is she? Get her here and ask her to follow me to the HR department for a meeting. You can go by yourself, but why do you have to drag Qinyu along? In the conference room, once Liang Zixuan finished introducing herself, Zhu Sheng started to introduce each department heads to her. When the process was over, he said, the company will give Liang Zixuan a single studio that will not be shared with anyone. She should finish writing all 10 songs for Qinyu's album in a month. When these words were spoken, the expressions of the department heads turned ugly. Even the faces of those musicians with some experience turned ugly. As a newcomer, Liang Zixuan owned her own studio as soon as she entered the company. In Han Group Media, no more than 10 people had their own studios. Lots of them had a share. Moreover, most of them were already famous, yet they didn't have their own studios. Pop music director Wu Xinya asked with a cold face, Director Zhu, isn't this a bit inappropriate? Before Liang Zixuan joined the company, I never heard her name. When she joined the company, she received treatment like this, which would make many seniors feel uncomfortable. Of course, Zhu Sheng knew that not only Wu Xinya, but even everyone present felt uncomfortable. He said expressionlessly, This isn't because I want to give her special treatment. This is an order from higher-ups. Liang Zixuan has full authority over Qinyu's album, and this album needs to be done within a month. If you all have any complaints, keep them in your heart. If you can't stand it, then complain to the president. What's the point of complaining to him? Wu Xinya closed her mouth and glared at Liang Zixuan. She was upset, but she didn't have the guts to complain to Han Yuanjun. Realizing that no one wants to talk anymore, Zhu Sheng added, Time is of the essence. Liang Zixuan needs 2 assistants now. It's too late for us to recruit new people. Which of you is willing to be her assistant? The conference room was full of 100-odd people, yet no one said a word. It's impossible for a proper musician to lower themselves to be her assistant. Liang Zixuan let out a faint laugh and said to Zhu Sheng, Director Zhu, why don't you just recruit a new person? If they can enter the company within a week, We should be able to complete the album on time. Zhu Sheng's face turned ashen as he glanced at those people. Even though Liang Zixuan is a newcomer, I think you all know the importance that the company attaches to Qinyu. Is there really no one willing to help her? It was unknown if it was because of Zhu Sheng's words, but a girl sitting in the corner raised her hand. I'm willing. She sat too close in the back, so Zhu Sheng had to support his body a little so that he could see her clearly. When he finally saw her, he nodded contentedly. Very good. Zheng Zhilan, from today onwards, you will work as Liang Zixuan's assistant. Those who were unwilling all turned to look at Zheng Zhilan with mockery filled their eyes. Zheng Zhilan stood up and bowed politely towards Liang Zixuan. This girl was very cute and well-behaved. She was not that tall and had a round face. Liang Zixuan liked her from first sight. Zhu Sheng turned to look at Xiang Zedong. His back immediately stiffened as he asked with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, Director Zhu, you are not going to ask me to be Liang Zixuan's assistant, will you? Of course not. Zhu Sheng smiled. You have 4 assistants, and you don't have anything urgent to do. Why don't you give Xie to Liang Zixuan and recruit new people? When Xie heard it, her scalp almost exploded. She was so angry that she almost stood up. Director Zhu, if no one is willing, you can't force me. I don't agree. Xiang Zedong then shrugged his shoulders arrogantly. Director Zhu, you saw it too. It's not that I don't want to give Xie to her. It's because she doesn't want to. At this moment, someone suddenly knocked on the door of the conference room. Shi Tianjin stood up to open the door. When she saw 2 people outside, she called out in surprise, President Han, Miss Qin. When the people inside heard her, they immediately sat up straight and looked toward the door in unison. Qinyu smiled. I heard that Liang Zixuan came to report today. I want to see her studio and get to know her colleagues. Shi Tianjin immediately made a way, inviting Han Yuanjun and Qin Yuan. Zhu Sheng stood up, wanting to give his seat to Han Yuanjun. Han Yuanjun shook his head. No need. I will not participate in this meeting. I am here to accompany Qin Yu to look around. We could just stand here and watch. He said stand by and watch, but why was the pressure in the room so heavy? Shi Tianjin immediately moved 2 chairs for them to sit. Zhu Sheng understood their intentions. At this point, his gaze swept over the circle of people. He suddenly asked with a meaningful smile, for one last time, who is willing to be Liang Zixuan's assistant? At the same time, all the people raised their hands and shouted, I'm willing. What kind of nonsense question was this? Anyone with a brain can tell that as long as they followed Liang Zixuan, they will be able to approach Qin Yu. Han Yuanjun was so appreciative of her that he accompanied her in this meeting. No one was stupid. Zhu Sheng was immediately amused by the situation. When I asked previously, none of you were willing. This is going to be difficult for me. Xie was afraid someone would take this opportunity from her, so she stood up and said, Director Zhu, didn't you say you would let me go? Don't make things difficult, I'll go. It was as if she wasn't the one who had just rejected Liang Zixuan. After seeing Han Yuanjun and Qin Yu, she immediately changed her words. In front of Han Yuanjun, Zhu Sheng didn't know what to say, so he asked Liang Zixuan, what do you think? Do you want someone to help you? Xie lifted her chin slightly as she looked at Liang Zixuan arrogantly, waiting for her to say yes. In her heart, she became her assistant out of respect for Han Yuanjun. Although she did not succeed in becoming a musician in Han Group Media and did not have her own studio, she was one of the best among the assistants. Otherwise, Zhu Sheng would not mention her name just now. Since she was already so humble, how could Liang Zixuan disagree? Liang Zixuan saw her arrogant appearance and scoffed. Director Zhu, I feel that one assistant is enough for me. Everyone present was so shocked at the same time, but they started mocking Xie in their hearts the next second. When Zhu Sheng asked her a moment ago, she didn't want to do it, but now she was trying to turn it around. In the end, no one wanted her anymore. Ha! Strong slap to the face. Xie Yin's face alternated between green and blue. Her eyes almost popped out. As she thought of her own future, she shamelessly said, Liang Zishuan, as I said, I am ready to be your assistant. Liang Zishuan rolled her eyes at her. Thank you, but as I said, I don't need it. One assistant is enough. Of course, Zhu Xing knew what she was thinking. He nodded. All right then, let Zheng Zhilan help you first. In the next few days, let the human resources recruit new people for you. Zheng Zhilan's ability is pretty good, so she should be able to work with you at this stage. Han Yuanjun raised his eyebrow when he saw this scene. With Liang Zishuan making such a decision, he could already guess how much cold treatment she had just received. Someone wronged her, then he would help her vent her anger. He stood up. Director Zhu, has the meeting ended yet? Qin Yu still has classes in the afternoon. If there's nothing important, let Liang Zishuan bring Zheng Zhilan and Qin Yu to the studio and let them get to know each other. Everyone turned to look at Zheng Zhilan. The mocking gaze just now had turned to envy. Look, President Han even remembered Zheng Zhilan's name. Their intestines turned green with regret. Zhu Sheng told Shi Tianjian to bring them out and show them the studio on the way. After Han Yuanjun and others left, Zhu Sheng looked at the people in the conference room coldly and said with a sneer, What? You're all regretting it now. Everyone kept their mouths shut and did not say a word. Xie Yan's expression was even worse. Zhu Sheng grunted. You always underestimate newcomers. This time, I'll teach you guys a lesson. There are no newcomers in the music. In the future, do your job well, and don't talk behind someone's back if you have nothing to say. Shi Tianjian had not heard his words. If she had, she would have definitely fainted from anger. Shi Tianjian pushed the door to the studio open. Liang Zishuan, this is your studio. Liang Zishuan and Han Yuanjun walked inside and looked at the equipment around the room. Liang Zishuan thanked her. Sister Tianjian, thank you. I'm sorry for troubling you. Shi Tianjian had been very nervous the whole way here. She was afraid that Liang Zishuan would expose what had happened in front of Han Yuanjun and Qin Yu. But hearing Liang Zishuan called her Sister Tianjian so intimately, she clearly didn't take that incident to heart at all. Shi Tianjian beamed. What are you saying? It's what we should be doing. Take a look what's missing. When the time comes, tell me. I will gather everything for you. Liang Zishuan was pretty much done looking through the room, and she didn't find anything missing. It seemed that although Shi Tianjian didn't like her, she didn't really neglect her. She was very satisfied with this point. Nothing is missing. If there's anything that I really need, I'll come and find Sister Tianjian then. Upon returning to the president's office, Qin Yu sat on the couch and looked at Han Yuanjun as she pursed her lips and smiled continuously. Han Yuanjun got goosebumps from her. He put down the pen in his hand and looked at her. Just say whatever you want to say. Don't keep looking at me like that and smiling like an idiot. Uncle. Qin Yu stood up and skipped to the front of the desk. She put her hands on the desk and asked Han Yuanjun while trying to control her smiles. Do you like Liang Zishuan? Han Yuanjun frowned. How did you know? Huh? Qin Yu laughed until her eyes curved into crescent moons when she saw him admitting it. I felt something was wrong yesterday. How cold was your face when you were facing me? But when you looked at her, your face immediately changed. So gentle. She laughed. Maybe you didn't realize that when you talked to her, the tenderness in your eyes was almost overflowing? Han Yuanjun touched his eyes. Really? Of course. Qin Yu pouted. You've never been so nice to me before. Why are you so kind to me all of a sudden? Uncle, you're so biased. When she went to the meeting today, Qin Yu felt that Han Yuanjun was standing up for Liang Zishuan. Han Yuanjun rolled his eyes. I only met a woman who makes my heart beat when I was 30. If I don't treat her well, how could she fall in love with me? You still want to deceive her? Qin Yu grumbled. As the president of Han Group Media, do you really have to lie to the woman you like? If you tell her that you like her, won't she immediately pounce on you? That's because you don't know her. Speaking of this, Han Yuanjun had an anxious expression on his face. I tried to please her, but she rejected all of it. I didn't have any other choice, so I thought of using such a small matter to coerce her. Why did Qin Yu feel Han Yuanjun behaved like Monk Tang, one, trying to turn the demoness into a docile woman? All right then. She looked at Han Yuanjun sympathetically. I will help you. Uncle, if you use me to approach Liang Zishuan again in the future, I will definitely not complain. For my uncle's happiness, I will definitely cheat her for the rest of my life. Han Yuanjun glared at her. Don't say anything to her. Just pretend that you don't know about this. Qin Yu smiled and nodded. All right, I'll listen to you. Before she finished laughing, Han Yuanjun added, remember, don't call me uncle in front of her from now on. You make me look so old. The smile on Qin Yu's face froze, and her teeth were about to shatter from gritting. She remembered that Han Yuanjun didn't give a face to her because she called him uncle in front of so many people yesterday. It was all because of Liang Zishuan. Huh? He would repay her kindness with enmity. Even if he used her, he still had to give her a face. Indeed, him being single for 30 years was not without reason. Her uncle was still single because of his overbearing attitude. During lunch, Shi Tianjian met Yu Lian at the company cafeteria. Yu Lian eagerly sat down next to her and held her hand while asking, how is it? Was Liang Zishuan angered to tears by all of you today? Crying in anger? Huh. The one who cried in anger was her, Shi Tianjian. Shi Tianjian pulled her hand away in disdain and said with an unpleasant expression, Yu Lian, you're not bad. How dare you lie to us? Yu Lian looked at Shi Tianjian with a wronged expression. Tianjian, what are you saying? How can I lie to you? Look at my face. She raised her hand and pointed her face. It hasn't recovered yet. Shi Tianjian glanced at her face and snorted in disgust. Serve you right. Yu Lian's expression soon darkened. Tianjian, what are you saying? We've known each other for years. You still don't know what sort of person I am. After being beaten by Liang Zishuan this morning, Shi Tianjian initially felt uncomfortable. However, after seeing how Han Yuanjun valued her, Shi Tianjian hated Yu Lian even more. If Liang Zishuan was a vengeful person, Shi Tianjian would definitely lose her job if she said something bad to Han Yuanjun. As the saying goes, snatching someone's way to earn money was tantamount to killing their parents. Shi Tianjian had lost all her temper towards Yu Lian. How come I don't know who you are? Shi Tianjian smiled sinisterly. Didn't you think you were beautiful and always wanted to climb on a president's bed? I've already asked about yesterday's matters clearly. It was you who provoked Liang Zishuan, then she fought back. Seeing how the president treated her well, you felt jealous in your heart, and that's why you're trying to slander her. She turned her head to look at Yu Lian as her smile intensified her ridicule. If you feel wronged, go find Liang Zishuan yourself. Why are you troubling us to help you? Yu Lian's mouth began to quiver in anger. She deliberately lowered her voice, afraid of losing her face. Which SL*T do you hear it from? To sow discord. She must die a horrible death. Shi Tianjian didn't want to waste her words with Yu Lian. She picked up her tray and called her colleagues. Let's eat at another table. Seeing someone's disgusting face here makes me lose my appetite. With that, she left. Yu Lian looked at her back and angrily broke the chopsticks in her hand. Bitch, who do you think you are? Who doesn't know that you are secretly in love with Director Zhu, and you still have a face to say that to me? Coincidentally, Liang Zishuan and Zheng Zhilan were sitting not far from them. She looked in their direction, she ate, and when Shi Tianjian stood up and left, she couldn't help but laugh. It seemed like her guess was right. It's actually Yu Lian who deliberately slandered her. Bang! A loud noise suddenly startled her. Liang Zishuan jumped in fear. When she turned around, she happened to see Xie Yin sitting next to her. This person was the same as well. If she wanted to sit down, she had to make a big fuss. It was as though no one didn't know that she had arrived. When Xie Yin saw Liang Zishuan looking at her, she tried to curry favor by asking, Liang Zishuan, why are you looking at me so seriously? It sounded as if Liang Zishuan was very familiar with her. Like two good friends secretly gossiping about someone. Liang Zishuan rolled her eyes. seeing her continue to eat. Xiayin had no intention of bothering her. She smiled in embarrassment and asked tentatively, Liang Zishuan, are you in a good relationship with Qinyu? Liang Zishuan said lightly. Not familiar. We just met yesterday. It can't be. Xiayin wore an adoration expression. Did you know? Qinyu is the president's niece, and her father is also a shareholder in our company. If you have a good relationship with her, then it's the same as having a good relationship with the president. Liang Zishuan put down her chopsticks and turned to look at Xiayin. She asked helplessly, What exactly do you want to say? Xiayin felt a little awkward, but she still shamelessly said, Director Zhu wants to find 2 assistants for you. You only have Zhang Zhilan with you now. How about you let me be your assistant? Fearing that Liang Zishuan would disagree, she continued, I know everything and I can write songs. Qinyu's album is very important and I can write 2 songs for you. Among the assistants in our department, my ability is the best. Even if you recruit new people, you still have to train them, and that's a waste of time. Liang Zishuan didn't know Xie Yin's abilities, but she had seen her character clearly. A fence-sitter relied on the wind for support. Liang Zishuan smiled. Thank you for thinking for my sake. Xie Yin's eyes lit up as she excitedly grabbed her hand. You've agreed. Liang Zishuan pulled her hand away and shook her head. Sorry, I just need an assistant. I told Director Zhu not to recruit anyone. I can finish the album in the allotted time with just 1 assistant. She then patted Xie Yin on the shoulder. If you have the ability, then do your best to help others. Xie Yin's face sank. She didn't even bother to hide her displeasure. Liang Zishuan, how amazing do you think you are? Let me tell you this, the water in Han Group Media is very deep. You didn't give me any face when you just arrived. Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to do your job smoothly? Liang Zishuan curled her lips nonchalantly. How shameless of you to ask me to help you. Xiayin stood up angrily. Liang Zishuan, just you wait. At this moment, Liang Zishuan's cell phone rang. She didn't even look at Xiayin when she took out the phone and answered the call. A low and deep voice was heard from the other line. Have you eaten? Liang Zishuan lowered her voice and said, Yes, President. What's wrong? Han Yuan Jun sighed deeply. Forget it, just eat. Come to my office when you're done. All right. Liang Zishuan put her phone back in her bag. From the corner of her eye, she saw that Xie Yin had not left yet. She ignored her and continued to eat. Xie Yin suddenly sat back down and leaned near her. Her previously angry face had turned fawning again. What did the president tell you? Liang Zishuan frowned. What does that have to do with you? Xie Yin immediately choked and rubbed her chest angrily. She can't leave, but at the same time, she couldn't calm down. She really didn't want to leave. Obviously, she could get close to Han Yuan Jun as long as she's close to Liang Zishuan. However, Liang Zishuan refused to give her this opportunity. Xian didn't give up and continued to curry favor with her. Liang Zishuan, there are only benefits and no disadvantages in being your assistant. My ability is much better than Zhang Zhilan's. She can't help you, so just promise me. They didn't even get to eat their lunch in peace. Helplessly, Liang Zishuan put down her chopsticks and asked Zhang Zhilan, who was sitting opposite her. Zhilan, have you finished eating? Zhang Zhilan quickly put down her chopsticks and said, I'm done eating. Liang Zishuan took her tray and stood up. Then let's go. President Han still has something to discuss with me. All right. Liang Zishuan. Xiayin was so depressed that she almost shouted, Liang Zishuan, stop right there. Xiayin almost vomited blood in anger when she saw Liang Zishuan walking away. She didn't understand why Liang Zishuan didn't want her to be her. Liang Zishuan, assistant even though she was so outstanding. Never mind. There was always a way for her to make Liang Zishuan agree. As they both left the cafeteria, Zhang Zhilan asked anxiously, Zishuan, is it okay for you to reject Xian? Liang Zishuan smiled indifferently. It's okay. She can't do anything to me. Zhang Zhilan looked over her shoulder and quietly glanced at Xian. Oh, okay. As long as you know what to do. Liang Zishuan was so sure of herself. Looking back at how persistent Xiayin was to be her assistant, if Liang Zishuan really agreed, then when the time comes, who knows how arrogant Xiayin will be. What she wanted was an assistant, not someone who would plot something evil 24/7. She was not in the mood and did not have the energy to play with an arrogant woman like Xiayin. Liang Zishuan parted with Zheng Zhilan in front of the elevator and went to the top floor. By this time, everyone had gone to eat. Liang Zishuan walked to the door of the president's office and knocked on it. After hearing Han Yuanjuan's voice, she slowly opened the door and entered. President Han, is there something you need from me? Han Yuanjun looked up from the document. Have you finished eating? Liang Zishuan blinked and nodded. Yes, I'm done eating. Han Yuanjun glanced at her gloomily before lowering his head and looked at the document again. I haven't eaten yet. Liang Zishuan. What did it have to do with her whether he had eaten or not? Liang Zishuan stood there, watching Han Yuanjun completing his work seriously. She had no idea what he wanted from her. After standing there for a while, she awkwardly asked, then, why don't you eat? Han Yuanjun didn't even raise his head as he answered, I don't want to eat alone. This time, Liang Zishuan finally understood. This man blamed her for eating on her own, but she never knew he wanted to eat with her. So how come it was her fault? That's. Liang Zishuan never stuttered. Yet, every time she faced this man, she can't even speak properly. She cleared her throat. Then, President Han, what do you want to eat? Han Yuanjun didn't answer. Liang Zishuan picked up her phone and walked to the side. Only then did she notice that she didn't know what Han Yuanjun liked. She thought for a moment before dialing Yao Xiu's number. Hello. Walking to the window sill, Liang Zishuan looked at the blue sky and white clouds. With a lowered voice, she asked, Special Assistant Yao, do you know what President Han likes to eat? Yao Xiu laughed. I know. Why are you asking? Are you going to accompany the president to lunch? I've already eaten, but he hasn't eaten yet. I helped him order food, but I don't know what he likes to eat. Liang Zishuan explained. Yao Xiu smiled more cheerfully. Okay, I'll send the restaurant link on my WeChat. You can place an order from there. President Han likes to eat food from there. I'll send you my account code too. You don't have to pay for it. Just place the order. After that, Yao Xiu immediately hung up the phone. Before Liang Zishuan could react, her WeChat notification rang. She opened the apps and clicked on the website link that Yao Xiu had sent to her. Then she used Yao Xiu's account and logged in. She was immediately stunned. The restaurant was the most luxurious restaurant from a 5-star hotel in the city and was specially designed for VIPs. No wonder Yao Xiu asked her to use his account. Liang Zishuan looked at the menu and didn't know what to order. Her heart skipped a beat the moment she turned around and she subconsciously asked, President Han, I ordered 2 dishes for you. Liang Zishuan didn't know how long Han Yuanjun had been looking at her, but when their eyes met, her heart skipped a beat and she immediately stuttered. Han Yuanjun looked at her amusedly. You're just ordering food, so what are you nervous about? As Liang Zishuan held her cell phone, she felt her hands trembling. I'm not nervous. She was not nervous at all. It's just that she can't recover from Han Yuanjun's gaze. His gaze was very gentle and affectionate. Han Yuanjun raised his eyebrow and mimicked the way she spoke. Why are you not nervous? Then why are you stuttering? Am I stuttering? Liang Zishuan froze for a moment, and then fiercely looked down on herself and her heart. Wasn't he just a good-looking man? Looking at her behavior, it was as if she had never seen a man before. Liang Zishuan took a deep breath. I'm really not nervous. Han Yuanjun didn't say anything and just looked at her. Liang Zishuan felt as if she was drowning in a sea of her own consciousness. She put the phone back in her pocket, and under the pressure of Han Yunan's gaze, she looked down and said, I ordered shrimp for you, as well as vegetables. I wonder if you're allergic to seafood. She suddenly felt that she was so cowardly to the point that she didn't even dare to look at him. All her courage in facing Shi Tianjian and Xia Yin this morning was completely gone. Han Yuanjun asked her the question instead. Are you allergic to seafood? Liang Zishuan shook her head. I'm not allergic. He laughed. Then I won't be allergic either. What did it have to do with her allergy? Liang Zixuan rubbed her index finger and thumb silently against her side. President Han, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Seeing that she wanted to leave as soon as he finished speaking, Han Yuanjun frowned. Previously, when he helped her, she knew to say thank you. Why? Now that he helped her, she didn't even say a word of thanks. Han Yuanjun felt angry when he saw how heartless she was. Liang Zixuan had just reached the door when she heard his cold voice. She was so frightened that her back straightened up, and she turned around like a puppet. She couldn't help but smile. President Han, is there anything else you need? Han Yuanjun's brows twitched. He suddenly stood up and walked a few steps towards her with his long legs. Then, he pushed her against the door. His handsome face leaned closer, forcing the back of her head to lean against the door. She had nowhere to retreat. What are you trying to hide from me? I am not hiding anything. Liang Zixuan quietly pushed Han Yuanjun's chest with her hand, forcing a smile. President Han, we're in the office. Can you step back a little? It's not good to be seen by others. Still saying that you are not hiding? Han Yuanjun squinted his eyes dangerously. Liang Zixuan chuckled dryly and turned her face weakly to the side. I'm really not hiding. This wasn't hiding. Han Yuanjun really wanted to bite her to death. Liang Zixuan, in your heart, what exactly am I to you? Ah! Liang Zixuan was stunned. She closed her eyes and pretended to be an ostrich, her voice trembling with fear. You are my boss. In your heart, I am just your boss. Han Yuanjun almost died of anger because of her. I've helped you so much these few days, and I always put you at the top of my priority. In your heart, I'm just your boss. What else could it be? It wasn't her who sought his help at all, other than on the night they first met. However, Liang Zixuan didn't have the courage to utter those words. Even with her eyes closed, she could feel the anger coming from Han Yuanjun's eyes. She swallowed hard. Friend. Han Yuanjun was still not satisfied. Just a friend. Liang Zixuan was already in a difficult position, and Han Yuanjun should have felt grateful that she considered him as her friend. What else did he want? In the end, Liang Zixuan was not an ungrateful person. She pursed her lips and whispered, Young Master Han, I am so grateful for what you have done for me. But I didn't dare to think of you more than that. She slowly opened her eyes, which were full of grievance. You are very good, really good. There are already many women wanting to throw themselves at you, and you know my situation. I just broke up with my boyfriend, and he betrayed me. So I really don't have the courage or the confidence to let my imagination run wild. Being able to treat you as a friend is already my bottom line. Han Yuanjun's expression finally eased a little. What Liang Zixuan meant was that he was too good for her, so she didn't dare to think about it. He sighed softly, his hot breath spraying her face, and he said in a low voice, Zixuan, I'm not as great as you think. I'm already 30 years old and haven't had a girlfriend yet. His gaze fell on her chest, the place where the bulge appeared, and he knew that the blue gemstone necklace was hiding there. It took me 30 years to find you. If you don't love me, I'll die of old age. Liang Zixuan was stunned. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. This sentence, when she was locked in that house in her previous life, the last lyric she wrote before she died was, My youth only awaits you. If you don't love me, I'll die of old age. At the time, she happened to be 30 years old. Han Yuanjun thought that his words had scared her, so he stroked her face gently. Don't deny yourself just because Ho Yingyi betrayed you. Who hasn't met one or two betrayers in their life? I'm not him. I'm with you with the intention of getting married, not just for fun. Han Yuanjun lowered his head and pressed his warm lips to her forehead. Liang Zixuan, can you give me a chance? Liang Zixuan suddenly felt her face was wet. She raised her hand to touch it and noticed there were tears on her face. Her heart tightened as she cried. I'm sorry. Han Yuanjun looked at her face. Her tears dripped into his heart, causing his chest to hurt. Why did this little girl make his heart ache so much? Knowing that she would refuse, Han Yuanjun found a way out for himself. I won't force you. Let's just start with friends. Is that okay? Liang Zixuan can't say anything now. She was confused because his words reminded her of the grievances of her past life. Now, she could nod vigorously to answer his question. Just then, the delivery arrived. The food was personally delivered by the hotel manager. Han Yuanjun took the food containers and placed them on the table in front of the couch. He waved at her. Come here. Liang Zixuan sniffed and said, I've already eaten. Han Yuanjun laughed. I'm not asking you to eat. Come here and peel the shrimp for me. Didn't he have a hand? Noticed that she was not moving. Han Yuanjun frowned. Didn't you just say that you'll be my friend? Peeling shrimp was something that a circle of friends will do. How come she didn't know about it? Under Han Yuanjun's intense gaze, Liang Zixuan could only bite the bullet and walked over to sit next to him. After wearing disposable gloves, she peeled one shrimp at a time. Han Yuanjun continued to eat the shrimp with a faint smile on his face. After eating some, he turned to look at her. These are the most delicious shrimp that I've ever eaten. Liang Zixuan's face gradually turned red under his gaze. She pouted in embarrassment. Even with something in your mouth, you couldn't stop talking. Eat quickly, it's almost time to start work, and I still have something to do. Han Yuanjun pursed his lip and smiled as he enjoyed the shrimp meat peeled by Liang Zixuan. After leaving Han Yuanjun's office, Liang Zixuan accidentally met Yulian, who had just returned from her lunch. When Yulian saw her walked out of the president's office, her eyes turned red with jealousy. Liang Zixuan ignored her and walked straight to the elevator. Yulian, who was behind her, snorted in a low voice. What kind of person are you? If you have nothing to do, you will run to the president's office and bother him. How shameless can you be? Yao Xiu suddenly appeared behind her and shouted coldly. Yulian. Yulian's back immediately stiffened. She turned around and saw Yao Xiu holding a stack of folders in his hand. I want you to print 20 copies of each of these documents. I need them before I get off work. What? Yulian exclaimed. There are so many. You want me to print them myself? Yao Xiu looked at her gloomily. You are the most free in the secretary's office. I'm not free. Yulian immediately rebuked. I still have a lot of work to do. Should I share them with everyone? No need. Yao Xiu didn't give her any face. Other people have their own jobs. This is yours. If you don't want to do it, then leave the company. Yulian was so angry with the grievances that she had received from Liang Zixuan yesterday and from Shi Tianjin this afternoon. She felt a lump in her throat and couldn't say a word. She took the folders from Yao Xiu's hand. Her hands almost broke. After Yao Xiu left, she scolded him angrily. Liang Zixuan is really a vixen, not to mention the president. Even Yao Xiu will not be let off. She knew that Yao Xiu was deliberately targeting her. There were 4 people in the secretary's office, and he never gave so much works to one person. Yu Lian slammed the folder on the desk and kicked the chair angrily. That bitch. As soon as Liang Zixuan returned to her studio, she was stopped by Xiayin. Xiayin lifted her chin arrogantly and pointed to the office behind her. The supervisor is looking for you. Xiang Zedong was the head of pop music. Although Liang Zixuan was in charge of the love genre, she was also under Xiang Zedong's supervision. Liang Zixuan entered the office. Who knew that Xiayin would also follow her and standing next to her? Xiang Zedong looked at Liang Zixuan and said expressionlessly, Liang Zixuan, I just asked Director Zhu to let Xiayin be your assistant. He agreed. This Xiayin was really something. Liang Zixuan told her she didn't want her, so Xiayin, let the leader pressure her. Liang Zixuan couldn't take it anymore and said, Supervisor Xiang, I have enough assistants. Xiayin has the ability, so she can go somewhere and use that ability to help others. You really don't have to push me to accept her. Xiang Zedong was so angry that he slammed the desk. You didn't even give me a face? Liang Zixuan had an indifferent attitude during the interview. She didn't even give Zhu Sheng a face. So how could Xiang Zedong expect her to give him a face? It was not because she was arrogant or she didn't put people in her eyes. It's just that these people didn't have a good impression of her from the beginning. If Xie Yin had agreed to Zhu Sheng's proposal from the beginning, Liang Zixuan would not have rejected her like this. Since she had already refused, she would never agree again. Even if they asked Han Yuanjun to persuade her, she still wouldn't agree. Liang Zixuan scoffed. You earned your own face. This is not something that anyone will give you. Xiang Zedong's breath caught in his throat as he felt as if he had been slapped in the face by her. He really didn't think Liang Zixuan would look down on him on her first day at work. Liang Zixuan, Xiang Zedong sneered. I advise you to be tactful and bow your head when the time comes. If I don't give you a way out, then you won't be able to get out of here unscathed. Don't blame me for being heartless. Oh, threats. Liang Zixuan was not afraid. Thank you, Supervisor Xiang. The step is too high for me to go down. She didn't bother to stand here and talk nonsense with Xiang Zedong. She immediately said, Supervisor Xiang, if nothing else, I'll go out first. Qin Yu's album needs to be completed within a time, so I don't have much time to waste. What else can Xiang Zedong say? He could only reply with a dark face. And after Liang Zixuan left, Xie Yin was so angry that she shouted, Cousin, isn't she too much? She didn't even listen to your words. Does she really think she's that superior? When Xiang Zedong heard Xie Yin's words, he immediately became angry. You really dare to say that? You're the one who rejected her, and now you are asking to be her assistant. You are so shameless, yet you still want to pull me down with you. Xie Yin pouted as she walked closer and knelt beside him. She held his hand in a fawning manner. Wasn't I thinking for you? Think about it. You're now a pop music director. If Zhu Sheng leaves, wouldn't you have to waste time competing with other heads for his position? With my help, you'll be able to climb that position easily. Seeing Xiang Zedong's face moved a little, she kept talking. Think about it. If I were Liang Zixuan's assistant, I could approach Qin Yu and have a good relationship with her. That's the same as having a good relationship with the president. When Zhu Sheng leaves, I'll go to the president and say a few words about you. What she said makes sense. Xiang Zedong was overwhelmed, but he still frowned in displeasure. I've stepped forward, but Liang Zixuan was still unwilling. What can we do? Xie Yin gritted her teeth in hatred. Liang Zixuan is such a bitch. Do you really think she has any face? If it wasn't for Qin Yu, did she really think I would be her assistant? She really looked down on me. That's how low she is. After thinking, Xie Yin said, Cousin, let me tell you that Zheng Zhilan is also incompetent. She can't handle many things at the same time. So how about this? You have to give Liang Zixuan 15 days to complete all 10 songs, and if she can't do it, then you have a reason to ask me to help her. When the time comes, I may not only be her assistant, I will also prepare 3 songs for Qin Yu to sing live. When Xiang Zedong heard this, he beamed with joy and poked Xie Yin's forehead with his finger. You evil woman, you have so many smart ideas. In order to make Liang Zixuan fail, I will definitely make her job difficult. Xie Yin raised her eyebrow proudly as she finally succeeded in persuading him. What she thought in her mind was not exactly like what she said to Xiang Zedong. She still wanted to use this opportunity to get her own studio. Once she got close to Qin Yu and talked to Han Yuanjun, she would be the music director. After leaving Xiang Zedong's office, Liang Zixuan knocked on Zheng Zhilan's desk. Zhilan, follow me. Zheng Zhilan immediately put down her work and followed Liang Zixuan from behind. After entering the studio, Liang Zixuan closed the door and turned to her. Zhilan, listen carefully. You're the only assistant I have right now. In Qin Yu's album, there are 10 songs. If you can help me write 2 songs, then do it. Zheng Zhilan was flattered and opened her eyes wide. Can I write the songs as well? Of course. Liang Zixuan laughed at her. You're my assistant. Why can't you write it? If you can write 5 songs, then write 5. Zheng Zhilan was so happy that she almost flew away. She grabbed Liang Zixuan's hand excitedly. I can. I wrote a lot before, but at that time, I followed He Zimu, but he didn't like me and wouldn't allow me to participate. Wait, Let me grab my music book. Zhang Zhilan rushed out of the studio and ran back to her desk. She took the music book from her drawer and ran into the studio like the wind. She didn't even catch a breath as she handed the music book to Liang Zixuan. Here, why don't you take a look? Liang Zixuan couldn't help but laugh. Let's talk after you take a deep breath. Don't rush. Huh? Zhang Zhilan laughed and took a deep breath before she said excitedly, the songs I wrote before, everything is here. Look at them. If there's a need to be fixed, tell me. I will fix it as soon as I can. Liang Zixuan picked up her guitar and found a chair to sit on, then opened Zhang Zhilan's music book and placed it on her lap. Zhang Zhilan saw her struggle so much, so she took the music book and held it in front of her. I'll hold it for you. It's easier for you to see it like this. All right. Liang Zixuan didn't refuse. She looked at the notes and started playing them with her guitar. After the song ended, she laughed in surprise. Not bad. Really? Zhang Zhilan's heart leaped in her throat. Are you telling the truth? Liang Zixuan nodded. Of course. While there's still some small flaws, it's not a big problem. Let's go to the next one. After 5 songs were played, Liang Zixuan decided to use 3 of Zhang Zhilan's songs for Qinyu's album. Zhang Zhilan was so happy that she would go crazy. She shook her head vigorously, as if she had just eaten ecstasy. Liang Zixuan's mouth twitched. She was really afraid that Zhang Zhilan would overexert herself and shake her head off. Although Zhang Zhilan was older than her, she was a simple woman, and Liang Zixuan liked people like that. Xiang Zedong had completely lost his face in front of Liang Zixuan, so he didn't dare to ask her to come to his office again. Instead, he called her. On the phone, he told Liang Zixuan about the foul idea Xiayin gave him. He told her to complete 10 songs in 15 days. Liang Zixuan scoffed. Looking at the enthusiastic Zhang Zhilan next to her, she happily agreed. 15 days was more than enough time for her. When the time came, they just had to wait to see the jaws of a group of people drop. Zhang Zhilan was treated coldly when she worked as Zima's assistant. Now that she worked as Liang Zixuan's assistant, she looked at her in a different light. She was very satisfied and naturally treated her well. She would do whatever Liang Zixuan asked without any hesitation. They were both busy all day in the studio and had even forgotten to get off work. Here, take a look. There's a minor flaw in these notes, so I'll have to change them a little. Liang Zixuan tapped the music book with her pen. Zhang Zhilan nodded. All right, I'll change it now. At this moment, Liang Zixuan's cell phone rang. She took it out of her pocket and saw that it was Han Yuanjun. She had no intention of hiding the call from Zhang Zhilan, so she immediately put her phone to her ear. Han Yuanjun's deep and pleasant voice came from across the phone. Have you left? Liang Zixuan froze for a moment before subconsciously asking, Is there anything else you want from me? He chuckled. The work time is already ended. Are you not going home? Have you all left? Only then did Liang Zixuan remember the time. When she looked at her wrist, she immediately noticed it was 6 o'clock. Hearing her words, Zhang Zhilan also checked the time. Seeing that the work hours had already ended, she was still a little dissatisfied and said, This job is too great. What if I don't want to leave? Liang Zixuan looked at her and said, Hurry up and pack. We will continue tomorrow. Fine. Zhang Zhilan stood up to pack her things. Liang Zixuan heard Han Yuanjuan's laughter on the other side of the phone. Looks like I should give a raise to you and Zhang Zhilan. I really appreciate staff members who are too devoted to their work. Being praised by the boss, Liang Zixuan felt a little embarrassed. President Han, you are such a tease. I'm too busy to look the time. Can we go now? Han Yuanjun asked. She nodded. Definitely. Wait a minute. Something didn't seem right. Liang Zixuan suddenly realized that Han Yuanjun was waiting for her to get out of work. President Han, I can go home on my own. You're busy, so you can leave first. I'm not busy. Han Yuan-jun chuckled through the phone. I'll be waiting for you in the parking lot. Come quickly. Don't make me wait too long. With that, he hung up the phone. Liang Zixuan couldn't even react as she heard a beep coming from the phone. He actually didn't give her a chance to reject. Zhang Zhilan had already packed her things and went out the door with Liang Zixuan. As they both walked to the elevator, she asked, "What is the president saying just now?" Liang Zixuan smiled faintly. "He said he wanted to give us a raise." Huh? Zhang Zhilan almost jumped in surprise. Really? This was an incredible thing. She only followed Liang Zixuan for a day and had already received a raise in salary. If that happened, then can she leap towards greatness in the future? Fearing she would be too happy, Liang Zixuan hurriedly pulled her back. President Han is probably just kidding. Don't get too hopeful. Even if he doesn't give us a raise, I'm still happy. Zhang Zhilan shook her head and followed Liang Zixuan into the elevator. I have worked at Han Group Media for 3 years and never received any praise from President Han. Let alone praise. He didn't even look at me. Now that he praised me, of course, I will be crazy with joy. Liang Zixuan pursed her lips and smiled. When they reached the first floor, she said to Zhang Zhilan, "You go ahead, I know." Zhang Zhilan blinked her eyes at her, clearly aware of the situation, but she didn't say it out loud. "See you tomorrow." After finishing talking, she walked out of the elevator. Before the elevator door closed, she even pumped her fist and said, fighting to Liang Zixuan. For some reason, Liang Zixuan's face turned red. Han Group Media's parking lot was very large. Since Liang Zixuan came out late, there were already some cars left, but there were still many cars parked there. Liang Zixuan stood at the entrance and looked around. Suddenly, the headlights of a car came on, followed by the sound of a horn. Liang Zixuan sneaked a peek to the side, as if she was a thief. Seeing that nobody was around, she dashed over, opened the passenger door, and got in. Han Yuan-jun looked at her flushed cheeks and couldn't help laughing. "Do you feel embarrassed to sit in my car?" Liang Zixuan replied, while fastening her seatbelt. No. He poked her face with his finger. "Then, why did you sneak in?" Liang Zixuan pushed his finger away and raised her head to look at him, feeling helpless. "On the first day I went to work, there were a lot of people saying I was going to seduce you. If they saw me get into your car, then wouldn't I just confirm the rumors?" Han Yuan-jun raised his eyebrow. "You still care about that?" He then laughed. "If you really care, then I'll announce it to the public tomorrow. I'm the one who seduced you." Please don't do that." Liang Zixuan jumped in fear. "Even now, there are a lot of people who don't like me. If you really told them that, then wouldn't I be hacked into pieces?" "Young Master Han, I come here to do my job. Can you let me do my job in a peaceful environment?" Han Yuan-jun's face darkened. Liang Zixuan was nervous, and she didn't know what he was thinking, so she braced herself and said, "I'm really in a difficult situation right now. I know you're actually helping me, but from time to time, you'll just come to our department, which will make things difficult for me." She lowered her head, not daring to look at his expression. She stared at the bag in her lap and said in a low voice, "I can handle the work matters and I don't want to trouble you too much. After all, you're quite busy. I'll go home by myself after work in the future. I really don't need you to send me home." Just like in today's meeting, if Han Yuan-jun didn't show up, Xiaoyin wouldn't have created trouble for her. When he showed up, everyone in the department looked at her as if she was a delicious piece of cake and wanted to take a bite on her. Han Yuan-jun was both angry and amused by what she had said. This little heartless woman actually despised him. It seemed like his woman had been wronged again. Han Yuan-jun didn't say anything and just started the car, driving the car out of the parking lot. Liang Zixuan glanced at him. She didn't know if he agreed or not. After the car stopped at the red light, she nervously asked, "Do you agree with my request?" Han Yuan-jun glanced at her and said coldly, "No." Liang Zixuan immediately felt furious. "Young Master Han, you are a dignified CEO. Don't you feel ashamed to be with a small employee like me?" Han Yuan-jun snorted, "I'm willing." Why did Liang Zixuan feel like Han Yuan-jun was a scoundrel, pestering her to not let go? She angrily turned her body towards the window. You're willing, but I'm not. The temperature inside the car immediately dropped a few degrees. Liang Zixuan didn't care whether Han Yuanjun would be angry or not. She looked out of the window with a stiff neck, as if she wanted to fight against the evil forces to the end. Han Yuanjun glanced at her and sighed. I can promise you that I will not go looking for you in your department in the future. But for lunch, you have to order the food for me, and I will send you home. If he couldn't even do these two things, then wouldn't he be unable to see her for an entire day? He had seen this little girl's heartless appearance. If they didn't meet for 3 or 5 days, wouldn't she be snatched away by another man like a wolf? Liang Zixuan was only 20 years old, still young, and she was still at her weakest. If another wolf were to take advantage of her, she wouldn't even be able to fight against them. Liang Zixuan scratched her ears and turned her head back to Han Yuanjun. Can you promise that you won't come looking for me in my department again? Han Yuanjun stared at her gloomily. I'm the dignified CO. How can the words I say not count? Oh, Liang Zixuan smiled evilly. Then the matter of you wanting to give Zhang Zhilan and me a raise also counts, right? She actually dug a hole and waited for him here. Han Yuanjun released the steering wheel with his right hand and pinched her face. Of course it counts. As long as you finish Qin Yu's album, I'll give you all a raise. Liang Zixuan grabbed his hand away and pressed it against the steering wheel, saying happily, then I'll wait. Han Yuanjun finally couldn't hold back his laughter. Why was this girl so cute? Even if she had to dig a hole for him, he would be happy to jump in. When they arrived at Lu Reve, Han Yuanjun directly parked the car in the parking lot. Liang Zixuan got out of the car, and he followed. She was puzzled. Young Master Han, I am going home. Han Yuanjun nodded. I will also go home. Han. Liang Zixuan was stunned and blurted out. You also live here? Han Yuanjun looked at her and smiled. I can't stay here. I didn't mean that. She scratched her neck and said with a coy smile, I just feel that it's such a coincidence. Han Yuanjun nodded. Indeed. What a coincidence. They both walked out of the parking lot. Liang Zixuan saw that Han Yuanjun was still following her, so she said, About that, I live in Building 10. Not far from here. You don't have to send me back. I can go back on my own. Han Yuanjun raised his eyebrow. What a coincidence. I also live in Building 10. Was it really such a coincidence? Liang Zixuan always felt that something was wrong, but for now, she couldn't tell what it was, and she could only let Han Yuanjun follow her. After taking the elevator, she pressed the button to go to the upper floor. Seeing Han Yuanjun actually not moving, she asked curiously, On which floor do you live? Should I press a button for you? He just glanced at her, but didn't say anything. Since he didn't say anything, Liang Zixuan didn't want to ask again. She thought that Han Yuanjun might not want anyone else to know where he lived. When the elevator reached the top floor, Liang Zixuan walked out and saw Han Yuanjun also walking out. She finally lost her composure. Young Master Han, is there any point in you following me like this? She felt that Han Yuanjun had lied to her. One floor with only 2 houses. Liang Zixuan lived on the left side of the house, and she didn't believe that Han Yuanjun happened to live on the right side of the house. He must have followed her on purpose, wanting to know where she lived and then gone to her house for a meal. What she hated the most was men being wrapped around her like candy and being unable to shake them off. Unexpectedly, Han Yuanjun walked to the right house and unlocked the door in front of her. Then, he looked at her and said seriously, What a coincidence. This time, Liang Zixuan was embarrassed. She never thought that Han Yuanjun would actually live next door. She was a neighbor with Han Yuanjun. Liang Zixuan chuckled in embarrassment. What a coincidence. I never thought that such a coincidence would exist. Han Yuanjun smiled, walked in, and closed the door with a bang. Liang Zishuan's heart immediately skipped a beat, as if the door had smashed in her chest. She stood there looking at the tightly shut door, unable to react for a long time. Zishuan, you're back? Come inside and eat. Luo Yinyan knew that Liang Zishuan had gotten off work at 6 p.m. and was looking at the time to prepare dinner. Liang Zishuan threw her bag on the sofa, walked sullenly to the dining table, and sat down on the chair. Luo Yinyan placed a bowl of rice in front of her. Seeing her sullen mood, she asked anxiously, "What's wrong? Did you have a bad first day? Were you being bullied by your coworker?" Even though she had been excluded by her colleagues, Liang Zishuan would not tell Luo Yinyan about this. She forced out a smile. "No, the job is pretty good. It's just that. I just realized that our president lives next door." President? Luo Yinyan thought about it and asked, "Are you talking about Xiao Han?" Xiao Han. Liang Zishuan could not associate these two words together. Imagine a cold and aloof Han Yuanjun being called by Xiao Han. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Grandmother, don't call him that. There probably aren't many people in this world who would dare to call him that." "Oh, okay then." Luo Yinyan nodded. Suddenly, she thought of something and asked anxiously, "Zishuan, tell Grandma the truth. Does that president of yours like you?" Liang Zishuan picked up shredded potatoes with her chopsticks, put them into her bowl, and pursed her lips. She lowered her head in embarrassment. It might be so. Luo Yinyan had seen him that day in the hospital. If the man didn't like her granddaughter, how could he possibly be so attentive towards her? Luo Yinyan's heart skipped a beat, as if the end of the world was approaching. She said in a panic, "Zishuan, we can't afford to offend a man like him. You can't covet his wealth and agree to whatever he wants. If by chance he treats you like a joke one day, you'll get hurt." See, not only Liang Zishuan, but even Luo Yinyan considered it unrealistic that Han Yuanjun liked her. They were originally from two different worlds, but they just happened to bump into each other. Liang Zishuan nodded. "I know, Grandmother, I'm not a vain person. Besides, I'm still young, and right now, all I think is to find money and let you live a prosperous life. I don't want to have a boyfriend anymore. He might only be interested in me for a while, so I should definitely be fine in a few days." Even when Liang Zishuan said so, Luo Yinyan still didn't feel reassured. This person already lived next door. If he had evil intentions, how would she, an old woman and a meek girl like her granddaughter, deal with him? Luo Yinyan immediately put down her chopsticks, stood up, locked the door, and then closed all the windows. Her hands and feet were nimble, unlike an old woman in her 70s. Liang Zishuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Grandmother, we're on the 13th floor." He couldn't have climbed through the window. Besides, he wouldn't have done such a thing. Luo Yinyan was defending herself against Han Yuanjun like he was a thief. If he knew about this, wouldn't he faint from anger? When Luo Yinyan closed the window, Han Yuanjun was standing on the balcony, looking at Liang Zishuan's house. Coincidentally, he saw Luo Yinyan rushing out to close the door of the balcony. He wanted to greet her, but she didn't even look at him and just closed all the doors and windows with a bang. Han Yuanjun was a bit confused. He thought something had happened at Liang Zishuan's place. He walked back into the house, picked up his phone, and called her. Liang Zishuan's head immediately hurt when she saw the caller's name. She sighed and answered the call. "Hey, something happened to your family?" Han Yuanjun's voice sounded rather anxious. Liang Zishuan blinked. "No, why do you ask?" Han Yuanjun heaved a sigh of relief. "I just saw Grandmother quickly closing the window and thought something happened at home." Liang Zishuan was helpless. She couldn't tell him that Luo Yinyan was on guard against him. She laughed dryly. "No, Grandmother said the wind was too strong, so she closed the window." Han Yuanjun replied with an "oh," and finally felt relieved. Luo Yinyan returned to her seat and saw Liang Zishuan was on the phone. She used her eyes to ask if it was a call from the man next door. Liang Zishuan nodded slightly, causing Luo Yinyan's face to turn green. Before she hung up the phone, Liang Zishuan could only use her eyes to comfort Luo Yinyan. Then she said to Han Yuanjun, I'm having dinner right now. If there's nothing else, I hang up first. Han Yuan-jun turned around and looked at his kitchen. He frowned gloomily. I don't know how to cook. Liang Zishuan. Was he saying that he wanted to eat but didn't know how to cook? It was obvious that he wanted to come over to her house to have a meal. Liang Zishuan was about to get angry when Han Yuan-jun suddenly said, "Do you know how to make instant noodles?" All right, she misunderstood him again. But someone like Han Yuan-jun eating instant noodles? Liang Zishuan's heart softened a little. She glanced at Luo Yinyun, wanting to ask if it was possible for him to come over for dinner. Luo Yinyun immediately shook her head. Liang Zishuan sighed and said to her phone, "If it's just instant noodles, it's very simple. You boil a pot of boiling water, put the instant noodles into the bowl, pour the seasoning in, then pour the boiling water in. Wait a few minutes, and then you can eat." Han Yuan-jun nodded. "Thank you." Then he hung up the phone. At this moment, Liang Zishuan didn't know what she felt in her heart, but it felt a little sour. If Han Yuan-jun took the initiative to come to her house to eat, she would definitely not agree and would even scold him. But now, when he said he'll eat instant noodles, why did her heart ache? After thinking for a while, she clicked open the order app on her phone, added the address, and ordered 2 dishes for him. Only then did she continue eating in peace. Luo Yinyun looked at her. "What's the matter? He still wants to come to our place to eat." Liang Zishuan put her phone aside, picked up her chopsticks, and ate the potato. "No, he just asked me how to make instant noodles." He doesn't even know how to make instant noodles? Luo Yinyun had a strange expression on her face. It was hard to tell if she was disdaining him or not, but her expression was very ugly. How on earth did he grow up to be this big? Grandmother, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's never done anything like this. Is that so? Luo Yinyun pursed her lips. Then he definitely has no good intentions living next door to us. Otherwise, why didn't he go to live in his golden nest and instead come to our place to bother us? Liang Zishuan had always felt that something was amiss, but now that Luo Yinyun mentioned it, she finally understood what was amiss. After they finished their meal, she received another call from Han Yuan-jun. The moment she picked it up, he said, "Thank you." Liang Zishuan knew why he said, "Thank you," so she gave an unhappy and before gritting her teeth and asking, "Han Yuan-jun, did you do this on purpose?" Han Yuan-jun was silent for a moment, then said, "If you have something to say, come to the balcony." He wasn't used to being separated from Liang Zishuan. From her tone, it seemed that she was mad at him. After Liang Zishuan ended the call, she angrily opened the veranda door and walked to the side. At that moment, Han Yuan-jun also walked out. The 2 pavilions were quite far apart, at least 3 meters. Liang Zishuan stood there looking at Han Yuan-jun angrily. "Why are you staying here? Shouldn't you explain it to me?" Han Yuan-jun just stared at her. Even though they were 3 meters apart, he could still see her flushed face. He shook his head. "It's not what you think. That day when I heard you say that you were living in Le Rêve, I just asked around and found out that you just happened to be living next to me. I bought this house a long time ago." Liang Zishuan was stunned. She misunderstood him again. There were no flaws in his words. Thinking about how Han Yuan-jun treated her these few days, she felt that he was not a person with bad intentions. If he had been a casual person, he wouldn't have made up his mind to do this to her. What kind of woman did he want? He can have as much as he wants. But he was willing to spend these thoughts on her. Even if Liang Zishuan didn't like Han Yuan-jun now, she couldn't stop him from liking her. Liang Zishuan rubbed her nose awkwardly. The anger on her face was completely gone. She was like a meek kitten staring at him with its big, watery eyes. "Oh, okay then. I won't bother you any longer. You should rest early." She wanted to escape. However, Han Yuan-jun stopped her. Liang Zishuan. Liang Zishuan stopped and heard his words clearly. "I'm right next door. Call me if anything happens." She stood with her back to him, her eyes reddened. She nodded and dashed back into the house. His last sentence somehow made her feel at ease. It was as if no matter what happened, he was by her side, protecting her. The feeling of being protected at all times was something she had never felt in her 2 lives. Liang Zishuan thought that if she didn't order a meal for him, he would eat instant noodles. For her, he came here to suffer, and that made her feel heartache. The next morning, Liang Zixuan left home half an hour earlier in fear of running into Han Yuanjun. Unexpectedly, the moment she opened the door, she saw he was already standing at the door waiting for her. She took a deep breath. "Morning." Han Yuanjun smiled and said, "Let's go to work together." When they were about to reach Han Group Media, Liang Zixuan asked him to stop the car. Han Yuanjun knew what she was thinking, so he stopped the car at the side of the road. Liang Zixuan unbuckled her seatbelt and turned around to look at him. "I got off here. If others see this, they will say bad things about me again behind my back." Han Yuanjun raised his eyebrow. The moment Liang Zixuan opened the car door, he suddenly grabbed her and pulled her forcefully into his embrace. Suddenly, his handsome face approached. Han Yuanjun kissed her and sucked her into his kiss. What had he done? They were near the company. Most likely, all of Han Group Media's employees knew Han Yuanjun's car. It was parked near the company, so the employees passing by couldn't help but peek in with curiosity. Heavens! Thinking of this, Liang Zixuan struggled harder than ever as she pushed Han Yuanjun's face with her two hands. Han Yuanjun grabbed her hands and pressed them against her chest. Liang Zixuan's breath caught in her throat as her eyes widened. What a stinky and shameless guy. Kissing her was one thing, but now he actually dared to eat her tofu. Ugh, she protested. Han Yuanjun chuckled and bit her lower lips before letting her go. Han Yuanjun. Liang Zixuan's mouth had just gained its freedom, and she immediately tried to push him away. "Are you insane?" "You." Han Yuanjun licked his lips and looked at her with a smile. "You only said that we couldn't do it in the office." Liang Zixuan was furious. She lifted her hand to comb her hair. She felt as if her heart was about to burst from her anger. She took a deep breath and glared at the man. "Didn't you say yesterday that you would become my friend?" He got her to help him peel the shrimps and then sent her home. Today, he kissed her directly. Would a friend do such a shameless thing? Han Yuanjun did not deny it and said confidently, "I'm chasing after you as a friend right now." Liang Zixuan immediately opened her mouth to say something, but her words stuck in her throat. Then what was the difference from before? Han Yuanjun just watched the little girl in front of him getting angry again. Her face was flushed, even redder than before. There was absolutely no denying that she was beautiful. "You are a good girl, and I would be stupid if I let you slip away from my grasp." Liang Zixuan took another deep breath to calm herself down. She always had a glib tongue when it came to others, but she immediately became dumb when it came to Han Yuanjun. It was just like every time she met this man, her IQ had automatically dropped to 0, and she was completely no match for his shamelessness. Liang Zixuan pushed his hand away gloomily. "Then I also have the right to refuse." "You can refuse." Han Yuanjun helped her open the car door. "But it won't stop me from chasing after you." She really couldn't win. Instead of wasting any more of her saliva by talking to him, she grabbed her bag and left. Han Yuanjun suddenly called out to her, "Liang Zixuan." Liang Zixuan rolled her eyes and bent over the window. "Is there anything else?" Han Yuanjun stared at her face and said softly, "Call me if you need something, no matter when." Since he had promised her that he would not look for her during working hours, he naturally would keep his promise. However, if anything happened to her, he wouldn't stand idly by and watch. He had said before that Liang Zixuan would not be wronged when she was in Han Group Media. Liang Zixuan felt that Han Yuanjun was like this every time. He would act shamelessly on her and then feed her sweet jujube. Damn it, she was actually so full of him. Just like now, when she heard these words, her heart rate suddenly sped up and her eyes became hot. She actually forgot about how mad she was at him a moment ago. She only remembered his words. Clutching her bag with her fingers, she nodded and walked to the building. Just as she took 2 steps, she raised her hand to wipe the tears from her eyes. Han Yuanjun drove the car and quietly followed her from behind. Liang Zixuan ignored him and quickly went inside the building. At this time, Luo Yinyun was already heading to the market with a small basket in her hand. Then, out of sudden, a sharp female voice startled her the moment she stepped out of the residential complex's entrance. Luo Yinyun. Although Luo Yinyun was over 70 years old, her hearing was very good, especially when it comes to the woman's voice that was so familiar to her. Luo Yinyun looked towards the source of the voice and immediately saw Jiang Huifang glaring at her. She was wearing an expensive dress. Her hair was tied up into a bun, and she was holding an expensive handbag. No matter how you looked at her, she looked like a pheasant was wearing phoenix feathers. Jiang Huifang got angry when she saw Luo Yinyun didn't bother to pay attention to her. She quickened her pace as well. She had waited for this old woman for a long time. How could she let her go so easily? Jiang Huifang, wearing a pair of high heels that were 8 centimeters tall, immediately blocked Luo Yinyun's path. Jiang Huifang raised her eyes to look at the upscale residential area and snorted. "Are you feeling guilty at me? Why are you running away from me?" Luo Yinyun was 1.68 meters when she was young. She was old now, and she had shrunk a little, but she did not seem short in front of Jiang Huifang, who was wearing 8 centimeters high heels. Although she wore simple and unadorned clothes, Luo Yinyun possessed a noble feminine temperament compared to Jiang Huifang. She looked at her in disdain. "What should I feel guilty about? I just don't want to see you so as not to ruin my good mood." "You!" Jiang Huifang gritted her teeth as she cursed Luo Yinyun in her heart. She didn't understand how Luo Yinyun, an old woman with a dead daughter and with no one to raise her, could be so unreasonable as to act so domineeringly in front of her. What qualifications did Luo Yinyun have? Jiang Huifang was so infuriated as she scolded without hiding anything. "Did you go crazy after coming out of the nursing home? Do you think Liang Zixuan can raise you?" Jiang Huifang laughed sarcastically, pointing at the residential area behind Luo Yinyun. "Wouldn't you like to know how much money Liang Zixuan has to spend to live in such an expensive house? I will tell you clearly today. Liang Zixuan is just a shameless bitch, just like her mother." Luo Yinyun didn't even have time to think about the first part of the sentence. She was infuriated by the latter part of Jiang Huifang's sentences. A woman who was mistress actually ran in front of her and scolded her granddaughter? How much confidence did this woman have? Luo Yinyun stared at Jiang Huifang's delicate face and laughed instead of getting angry. Jiang Huifang, are you talking about yourself?" Jiang Huifang nearly choked to death on that question. Previously, Luo Yinyun feared that if her attitude towards Jiang Huifang were bad, Liang Zixuan would be bullied more in the Wei family. Now that Liang Zixuan was out of the Wei family, what should she be afraid of? She did not give Jiang Huifang the slightest bit of face. "No matter how bad my granddaughter is, she's still better than you, a woman who steals other people's husbands and fathers. Don't you dare call her a bitch. Before you scold anyone, go look at yourself in the mirror." Jiang Huifang was so angry that her face contorted as she pointed her finger at Luo Yinyun and scolded. "Luo Yinyun, you've changed. Do you think your life can be peaceful just because Liang Zixuan left the Wei family and picked you up from the nursing home? Let me tell you, since you are all shameless, I will go to her company and spread rumors about her. Let's see if she still has a face to keep working." Luo Yinyun's good mood was completely disturbed by Jiang Huifang, the mad dog. She took a deep breath and glared at her. "Go. Go if you have the ability. If you dare to go to Zishuan's company and talk nonsense, I will tell everyone in the city about how you seduced my son-in-law. Let's see who is the shameless one." They stood at the entrance of the residential complex, quarreling with each other until their faces were bright red. Passers-by and unrelated uncles and aunties in the residential complex all came to join in the fun. Luo Yinyan's voice was not inferior to Jiang Huifeng's. She was not like a woman who has lived for over 70 years. Having lived in a nursing home for a long time, there's a lot of grievances in Luo Yinyan's heart. Seeing Luo Yinyan defending her granddaughter and complaining that Jiang Huifeng had shamelessly stolen her son-in-law and forced her daughter to her death, everyone who was watching the commotion started to point their finger at Jiang Huifeng. Jiang Huifeng immediately grabbed Luo Yinyan's arm, wanting to drag her to a quiet place where no one could hear them. Unexpectedly, when Luo Yinyan saw that Jiang Huifeng was forcefully pulling her, she suddenly let out an "I-O" before slowly falling to the ground in front of everyone. While she was falling, she didn't forget to hold Jiang Huifeng's hand, saving herself from the pain of falling. As soon as Luo Yinyan fell down, she burst into tears. "I-O, everyone come quickly and take a look. This shameless woman had already forced my daughter to death, but now she's trying to force an old woman like me to death. Everyone look, she actually attacked me. I-O, my weak arms and legs, it hurts so much." Jiang Huifeng was dumbfounded. She did not touch Luo Yinyan at all. Luo Yinyan held on to her, crying out loud. "I-O, everyone look, she's trying to kill me. My body hurts so much. Please save me." Jiang Huifeng's face turned pale as she cried out for help. "Luo Yinyan, don't wrongly accuse me." The surrounding uncles and aunties pointed their fingers at Jiang Huifeng's face and scolded her. "I saw you pushed her with my own eyes. How dare you not to admit it? She is very old, yet you still want to torture her. What kind of woman are you?" "That's right. She really is a snake and scorpion woman. She is a shameless bastard," Luo Yinyan immediately said to the surrounding uncles and aunties who had just arrived beside her. "She had stolen my daughter's husband and forced my daughter to death. Now she's here to kill me, an old woman. How could her heart be so vicious?" When a young man heard this, he immediately took out his cell phone and called the police. Jiang Huifeng was terrified. She just wanted to warn Luo Yinyan and scare her so that she would tell Liang Zishuan to resign. She didn't think Luo Yinyan was a two-faced woman. By this time, everyone had already reported the incident to the police. "Don't listen to her blabbering. I didn't force her daughter to die. I'm innocent. How could Luo Yinyan let her get away just like that? She was just an old grandmother. She was not afraid of losing face." Her hand held Jiang Huifeng tightly as she refused to let her go. "A murderer! Someone please save me. She wants to kill me in public. Everyone come and see." After a while, an ambulance and a police car arrived at the same time. The police officer walked over. When they saw this scene, their first thought was that Jiang Huifeng had bullied Luo Yinyan. "Old woman, what did she do to you?" Luo Yinyan looked at the police officer as if he was her savior. She let go of Jiang Huifeng's hand and grabbed the police officer's hand. "Police officer, this woman wants to kill me. I'm not lying to you. Just now, so many people saw her attack me. I'm really scared. Police officer, you must protect me." Jiang Huifeng was so angry that she cried. She immediately explained to the police officer, "Don't listen to her. I did nothing." Before she could finish it, the surrounding uncles and aunties came out to testify for Luo Yinyan. "She did it. We all saw it." The police officer looked at Jiang Huifeng with a frown. Jiang Huifeng still wanted to explain, but the police said, "That's enough. If there's anything you want to say it at the police station. Follow me to the police station now." "She can't go to the police station. How embarrassing that would be." Jiang Huifeng unknowingly wanted to run away, but she was stopped by another police officer. "Didn't you say you're innocent? If you've been wrongly accused, then explain it clearly to us when we get back to the police station." Jiang Huifeng was forced into a police car by the police officer. Another police officer asked Luo Yinyan concernedly, "Old woman, let this nurse check on your injury." When Luo Yinyan heard this, her first thought was that going to the hospital meant she needed to spend money. Right now, her life with Liang Zixuan was difficult. She didn't have much money to go to the hospital. And just now, she was pretending to be in pain. Seeing Luo Yinyun's troubled expression, the police officer smiled. Don't worry, you don't have to pay for anything. It doesn't matter if you're all right or not. The woman who hit you will pay for all the cost. When Luo Yinyun heard this, she immediately handed her hand to the nurse who was waiting for her. As the nurse helped her to the stretcher, she said to the nurse, "Check my whole body. Please make sure the cost is expensive. I feel sore all over my body." The nurse, Liang Zixuan, had just started working when she received a call from the police. When she heard that Luo Yinyun had been admitted to the hospital, she was so scared that she quickly put down her work and rushed to Xiang Zedong's office to request leave. "Supervisor Xiang, my grandmother is in the hospital. I'm taking a day off." Xiang Zedong's eyes shifted slightly from the computer screen and glanced at her. He scoffed. "You're going to take time off on the second day of work. Do you still want a job?" Liang Zixuan was really anxious and even cried as she spoke. "Supervisor Xiang, my grandmother is old and my mother is dead. She only has me. Can you do me a favor?" Wasn't Liang Zixuan so against him yesterday? Xiang Zedong was very pleased with himself, seeing how Liang Zixuan came to beg him so soon. He tapped his finger on the desk and arrogantly said, "Liang Zixuan, I already told you yesterday that you won't leave unscathed if I don't give you a way out. When something happens, don't blame others for not giving you a way out. Plus, this is only your second day, and you already asked for leave, which is ridiculous. Qin Yu's album is rushed, so if you take leave today, you would also take leave tomorrow and the day after, delaying her album. At that time, all the blame would be pushed on me. Do you think that's appropriate?" Liang Zixuan's eyes gradually turned red. She did not regret her actions yesterday. She was just sad because Xiang Zedong was actually getting personal revenge against her. She controlled her temper and said kindly, "Supervisor Xiang, I promise I won't delay Qin Yu's album. Even if something happens, I won't let you take the blame. Can you help me?" "Of course." Xiang Zedong nodded. Liang Zixuan was overjoyed. Just as she was about to say thank you, she heard Xiang Zedong say, "Even if you want a full holiday, you can take it. I won't be able to control you. But once you stepped out of the company, you can't ever come back again." Liang Zixuan finally understood. No matter what she said, Xiang Zedong would never agree to her request. He was purposely making things difficult for her. Liang Zixuan forcibly suppressed the anger in her heart and laughed mockingly. "All right, if you don't agree, then I'll talk to Director Zhu.